Qin Chen! A thunderous shout erupted out of nowhere. Qin Chen jolted awake from his desk, drenched in sweat, his eyes filled with fear. But soon, he glanced around, noticing his classmates and the middle-aged female teacher standing at the podium. His initial panic turned to confusion. The college entrance exam is less than 100 days away. I usually can't be bothered with you, but from now on, no one is allowed to sleep during my class. The homeroom teacher glared at Qin Chen, her tone brimming with disappointment and sternness. Qin Chen barely registered her words, sitting there dazed. After a moment, he was struck by a shocking realization. I've transmigrated. This was a parallel world. The people around him were the same as in his previous life, his classmates, and the female teacher at the podium was still his homeroom teacher. But the backdrop of this world was completely different. It was no longer dominated by technology. 300 years ago, a great cataclysm occurred here. Ferocious beasts wreaked havoc, and modern weapons lost most of their effectiveness. Perhaps under the pressure of a looming extinction, humanity began to undergo strange transformations. Some people developed heightened sensitivity to elemental energies. Thus, the era of martial cultivation began. Strength became synonymous with respect, wealth, and power. Martial practitioners were divided into 9 levels, from 1 star to 9 stars. To become a martial artist, one needed innate talent and had to pass through the body refinement stage. In his memories, Qin Chen knew he lacked talent. His sensitivity to fire elements was only at 0.9, less than 1, which made cultivation impossible. The most frustrating part? He was short by just 0.1. Ding! Host detected. God-tier martial system activating. Ding! System activation successful. Generating interface. Figure it out yourself. The homeroom teacher sighed and shook her head as she saw Qin Chen still in a daze. The classmates ignored him, except for his deskmate, a chubby boy who whispered, "What's wrong with you?" "Nothing," Qin Chen replied, shaking his head. Seeing that he was fine, the chubby boy, Wang Hai, lowered his head and resumed playing on his phone. Qin Chen, however, stared intently at the system panel. Name asterisk Qin Chen. Fire element sensitivity asterisk 0.9. Combat power asterisk 5. Ding! Host lacks cultivation talent. Awarding beginner's gift pack. Would you like to decline? Qin Chen froze for a moment. Decline? Are you kidding me? This system wasn't following any conventional logic. It simply asked if he'd like to decline. If he wasn't paying attention, he might have accidentally clicked it. Use it. He was nervous, unsure if the gift pack would be of any real value. If it didn't grant him talent, he'd be doomed. Without the ability to cultivate, he'd remain an ordinary person. And in this world, life was harsh for ordinary people. Ding! Congratulations, you have received 1 fire sensitivity enhancement pill. A fiery red pill appeared in the system's inventory. With a single thought, Qin Chen retrieved it and swallowed it without hesitation. The pill dissolved instantly, sending a warm surge through his body that began transforming his physique. His sensitivity to fire elements skyrocketed. Ding! Fire element sensitivity increased to 9. Ding! Fire element talent upgraded to SSS level. Overjoyed, Qin Chen opened the panel again. Name asterisk Qin Chen. Fire element talent asterisk SSS. Combat power asterisk 5. Unbelievable. He was ecstatic. The improvement was astounding. He had gone from being a nobody to a prodigy in an instant. Talent was ranked across 9 levels, from F to SSS. The higher the rank, the faster the cultivation speed. Without hesitation, he began practicing the elemental insight technique and felt his comprehension advancing at an incredible pace. Just as he was about to continue, the system's voice chimed again. Ding! Congratulations, you have acquired the innate skill, Devour. Ding! Reward, 1 wind sensitivity enhancement pill. Another one? Qin Chen's grin widened. This gift pack was full of surprises. Wait, isn't innate skill something you unlock only after becoming a martial artist? He paused to think. Typically, innate skills only awakened at the earliest when someone reached the 1-star level of martial cultivation. He had never heard of someone unlocking one before even completing the body refinement stage. He glanced at the panel again, noticing a new entry. Innate skill asterisk Devour allows absorption of energy materials to convert into personal power. The mention of energy materials immediately made him think of beast cores. Certain beasts housed cores within their bodies. After a beast was killed, these cores could be extracted and used to enhance equipment or boost strength. However, it was a widely accepted rule among humans that beast cores should never be consumed directly. The effects on human cultivation were said to be detrimental, as humans and beasts followed entirely different paths of cultivation. Well, I'll try it when the opportunity arises. Qin Chen decided. Without drawing attention, he swallowed the wind sensitivity enhancement pill. The familiar warmth surged through him again, and his sensitivity to wind elements rapidly increased. Ding! Your wind sensitivity has increased to 7. Ding! Your wind element talent upgraded to S level. Just S level? Qin Chen frowned slightly. The system explained, host's initial wind sensitivity was only 0.7, so it could only be raised to S level. Further upgrades can be achieved through other means. However, the system didn't specify what those means were. Still, not bad. Qin Chen nodded. S level was already considered an exceptional level of talent. After school, Qin Chen hurriedly left the classroom and headed straight for the school gate. Qin Chen, I know an amazing hot pot place. Come on, my treat. Let's grab a drink. Wang Hai caught up to him, throwing an arm over his shoulder. No thanks, I need to head home, Qin Chen declined, shaking his head. Wang Hai was one of his few friends. In the past, they often went out drinking after school. Wang Hai came from a wealthy family. His own talent was average, so he preferred to enjoy life rather than stress about cultivation. Qin Chen, on the other hand, had been lost and self-destructive in the past. But now, things were different. With the system in hand, he had to seize every moment to grow stronger. Half an hour later, Qin Chen pushed open the door to his home. His father, Qin Dai, was sitting on the sofa watching TV, while his mother, Li Xiufen, emerged from the kitchen holding a bowl of freshly brewed medicine. Xiao Chen, you're back? Are you hungry? Should I make you something to eat? His mother asked, visibly happy to see him. No, I'm not hungry. Qin Chen shook his head. How are you feeling? He asked, turning to his father. His father had been injured a year ago. Despite taking medicine every 3 days, his condition had only worsened. Same as always. It's hopeless, Qin Dai sighed. The cost of this treatment had plunged the family into financial hardship. His father had resigned himself to giving up, but his mother refused to accept it. Stop saying that. Give up? You want me to just watch you die? Li Xiufen snapped in anger. Then let me die. The sooner, the better. Qin Dai retorted coldly. Fine, but before you die, make sure you get the Zhao family to pay up. Li Xiufen yelled back furiously. Qin Chen sighed, shaking his head as he walked toward his room. As he stepped inside, he glanced up at the calendar and suddenly froze. March 18th. A chilling thought struck him. In his previous life, he had died on March 25th. While the world setting had changed, the people and major events remained the same. In other words, he might still die on March 25th in this life. The previous life was no accident, it was murder. Qin Chen's father, Qin Dai, was also killed. The reason was that his father was hit by a car on his way home. The driver? None other than Zhao Quan, the young master of the Zhao family in Rong City. In this timeline, according to Qin Chen's memories, his father was also harmed by Zhao Quan. In this life, his father was a frontline soldier who once acquired an extremely rare peak-grade beast crystal, a keepsake entrusted to him by a fallen team captain. This beast crystal caught Zhao Quan's eye. Zhao Quan tried to acquire it for a fraction of its worth, only 1/10 of the market price, a blatant act of coercion. Naturally, Qin Dai refused to sell it. No matter how high the price, he wouldn't part with it. This refusal offended Zhao Quan. When his father was hit by a car, there was no direct evidence, but Qin Chen knew that Zhao Quan was behind it. Later, he confronted Zhao Quan, and the latter privately admitted it. In his previous life, Zhao Quan personally carried out the hit. In this life, he orchestrated it through others. The methods differed, but the mastermind remained the same. Her husband killed, it was inevitable that she, too, would be framed. The motives didn't matter. What mattered was that revenge must be exacted. 7 days left, Qin Chen stared at the calendar, resolute. To exact revenge, he first had to survive past the 25th. For that, he needed the ability to protect himself. In 7 days, I need not only to protect myself but also to ensure my family's safety. Qin Chen felt the weight of the pressure. His survival alone wasn't enough, as he feared Zhao Quan would target his family. To make Zhao Quan back off, the only way is to become a martial artist. A determined glint flashed in Qin Chen's eyes. Even a one-star martial artist holds significant status, akin to nobility. Martial artists are vital to humanity's safety, and powerful ones can even suppress the influence of city lords. By becoming a martial artist, his family would naturally be protected. After all, martial artists fight for the safety of the people. If their family were harmed, it would be intolerable. Once the perpetrator is identified, all martial artists would unite against them. With this in mind, Qin Chen stepped out of his room. Dad, where's that fire element beast crystal? He remembered the captain had once given his dad a fire element beast crystal. Now, he wanted to try using it to enhance himself. Beast crystal? Qin Dai was momentarily stunned, then pointed to the bedroom cabinet. It's in there. It's not safe there. I'll keep it in my room. Qin Chen headed toward Qin Dai's bedroom. This kid. Li Xiufen scolded with displeasure. Since Qin Dai's injury, the family had been struggling financially. Li Xiufen had often suggested selling the beast crystal, but Qin Dai had never agreed. Qin Chen's insistence on safeguarding the beast crystal made Li Xiufen suspect he was guarding against her selling it. Carrying the wooden box, Qin Chen returned to his room and shut the door with a loud thud. Qin Dai laughed. The boy is getting sensible. Qinshan carefully protected the beast crystal, feeling a sense of joy. In his room, he opened the wooden box. Inside lay a red beast crystal radiating fiery energy. He picked up the beast crystal, and a flash of information crossed his vision. Beast crystal, fire element, top grade, safe to absorb. He let out a sigh of relief. With the system confirming it was safe to absorb, he didn't hesitate any longer and swallowed it in one gulp. His innate skill, Devour, activated. The beast crystal quickly dissolved, spreading throughout his body. Within seconds, he felt his strength and senses heighten. Ding! Fire element beast crystal successfully absorbed. Physical body tempered to 60% fire elemental purity. Mid-stage body refinement. Qinshan was overjoyed. Body refinement is the foundational stage for becoming a martial artist. Martial artists temper their bodies using their respective elemental affinities. Typically, body refinement is achieved through elemental cultivation techniques, but with his ability to directly absorb beast crystals, Qinshan could accelerate the process significantly. For an SSS grade talent, reaching 60% would normally take at least 3 days. Qinshan had achieved it in less than 3 minutes. Ding! Congratulations on stepping into the path of cultivation. Task unlocked. Qinshan was startled and quickly checked. Task 1, reach body refinement peak within 7 days. Reward, low-grade wind element beast crystal, normal mode. Task 2, reach body refinement peak within 3 days. Reward, low-grade and mid-grade wind element beast crystals, hard mode. Task 3, reach body refinement peak within 1 day. Reward, top-grade wind element beast crystal and ice sensitivity pill, hell mode. Tasks are optional. Complete them to receive rewards. Failure results in no reward. Studying the tasks, Qinshan was naturally tempted by hell mode. Not only would it boost his wind element abilities, but it would also allow him to cultivate ice element techniques. However, 1 day was an incredibly tight deadline. To reach body refinement peak, I'll need 100%. That means I need another high-grade fire element beast crystal. Qinshan calculated. A high-grade beast crystal costs around 50,000 yuan, an unattainable amount for his family. Should I choose hard mode? He frowned. 3 days would be sufficient, but completing it within 7 days would make becoming a martial artist much harder. Wait! An idea suddenly struck him, and he smiled. Without hesitation, he selected hell mode. Ding! Task successfully selected. Opening his door, Qinshan headed straight out. I'm going out for a bit. You're always running around. Li Xiufan shook her head in exasperation as she watched him leave. Qin Dai sighed. Let him be. He felt guilty for not being able to provide Qinshan with a better life, so he rarely reprimanded him, even when he came home late from school. Once outside, Qinshan hailed a taxi and headed directly to the city center's martial arts association. This was where martial artists were certified. As long as one reached the cultivation threshold, they could undergo certification. Those under 18 who succeeded were even eligible for generous rewards. Half an hour later, Qinshan arrived at the association's entrance, registered his identity, and was quickly guided into the certification hall. The hall was crowded, mostly with older individuals. Sir, are you here to certify as a martial artist? A female staff member noticed his youthful appearance and greeted him warmly. If he succeeded, she would earn a significant commission. Of course. Qinshan nodded. She glanced at his ID and, upon confirming he was under 18, eagerly said, "This way, please." She led Qinshan to a certification window. "He doesn't have to wait in line," someone grumbled. "Keep your voice down. Minors under 18 don't queue, they're considered prodigies," another person quickly explained. Hearing this, the complaining individual's expression shifted, and they fell silent. At the window, the staff member brought out a device. "Sir, please place your hand here and channel your elemental energy." Without delay, Qinshan placed his palm on the device. A flame symbol appeared on the screen. Fire element, early stage body refinement. The staff member beamed and confirmed that he had passed the certification. Fire element was considered average, but Qinshan's age was exceptional, securing her commission. "Congratulations on your certification. You've earned a reward of 20,000 yuan, she said with a smile. "Could I have your bank card? I'll submit your information, and the funds should be transferred within minutes." Qinshan handed over his card. In the hall, onlookers reacted with varied expressions, some surprised, some envious, others jealous. Just as the staff member was about to leave to process his reward, Qinshan stopped her. "I'd like to certify again." "What?" She froze in place. Qinshan didn't say much and pressed his hand on the device again. 20,000 wasn't enough to buy a high-grade beast crystal, he needed more. This time, he unleashed his full power. 2 flames appeared on the screen. Mid-stage. The staff member's eyes widened in shock. The crowd in the hall had a shift in their expressions, admiration and reverence showing clearly. Geniuses often sparked envy and jealousy, but they also commanded respect and flattery. "The reward should be higher now, right?" Qinshan asked with a smile. "Yes. The staff member quickly replied. Under 18, mid-stage body refinement gets a reward of 50,000 yuan. Qin Shen smiled with satisfaction. 50,000 was just enough. I need the money urgently, let's go, he said. The staff member hurried off to process the paperwork. A few minutes later, a deposit notification popped up on Qin Shen's phone. Retrieving his card, he was about to leave. I'll escort you. The staff member caught up. Qin Shen didn't refuse. As they walked out of the hall, he asked, where nearby can I buy beast crystals? Beast crystals? She was curious but didn't pry further. Our association sells beast crystals. Oh? Qin Shen was surprised. He hadn't heard of this before. She explained, there are many counterfeits on the market, official channels are much more reliable. While our association's beast crystals aren't the cheapest, they're guaranteed to be genuine. You can trust them. Qin Shen nodded. Take me there. The beast crystal store was in another building. 10 minutes later, they arrived. The first floor sells ferocious beast crystals, and the upper floors sell demonic beast crystals, the staff member introduced. Qin Shen nodded and headed straight for the fire element beast crystal section. He set his eyes on a high-grade crystal priced exactly at 50,000. Would you like to purchase this one, sir? The salesperson asked with a professional smile. At that moment, the staff member accompanying Qin Shen stepped forward and said, Xiao Zhou, the gentleman here is a certified martial artist. He qualifies for a 20% discount. The salesperson, Xiao Zhou, was taken aback. An under-18 certified martial artist purchasing beast crystals at a discount, this was a privilege reserved for geniuses. Body refinement beginners received a 10% discount, while the 20% discount indicated mid-stage refinement. Xiao Zhou quickly adjusted her tone. Sir, this beast crystal is now just 40,000 yuan. Qin Shen was momentarily stunned but delighted with the price, it was significantly below market value. Pack it up for me. Right away. Xiao Zhou responded enthusiastically. After receiving the beast crystal, Qin Shen walked out of the building and asked the staff member, where's the restroom? Just ahead, she pointed. Wait for me here. Qin Shen, holding the beast crystal, headed toward the restroom. Instead of entering, he found a secluded spot and swallowed the crystal whole. Immediately, that familiar sensation surged through him. Ding! Fire element ferocious beast crystal successfully devoured. Body refinement with fire elemental energy has reached 100%. Body refinement peak stage. Qin Shen exclaimed, thrilled at the leap from late stage to peak stage in one go. Ding! Task 3, Hell Mode, completed. Reward issued. In his system space, a wind element ferocious beast crystal and an ice element sensitivity pill appeared. Without hesitation, he consumed the wind element beast crystal. Ding! Successfully devoured. Body refinement with wind elemental energy has reached 45%. Only 45%? Seems like refinement progress is tied to talent level. His wind element talent was graded S, while his fire element talent was SSS. The two-grade difference clearly impacted the progress. Still, 45% was right at the threshold for mid-stage refinement. Next, he swallowed the ice element sensitivity pill. Ding! Ice element sensitivity increased to 8. Ding! Ice element talent upgraded to SS level. 3 elements now. Qin Shen smiled. Although he hadn't begun ice element training, his talent level meant it wouldn't take long. He glanced at his information panel. Name, Qin Shen. Fire element stage, body refinement peak. Wind element stage, body refinement mid, 45%. Ice element stage, none. Innate skill, Devour. Combat power, 150. My combat power has already exceeded the typical peak stage single element threshold. Qin Shen was ecstatic. Most people were single element users. Dual element users were rare, and no one had ever seen a triple element user. Normally, a single element user at peak stage had a combat power of around 100, while mid stage was around 25. With one element at peak stage and another at mid-stage, Qin Shen's total should have been 125. But now it was 150, indicating that dual element synergy wasn't a simple sum. And his wind element hadn't even reached peak stage yet. Once it did, his combat power would be even more formidable. More impressively, he still had the ice element. In the future, his combat power might even rival a one-star warrior. The combat power threshold for a one-star warrior was 300, entirely within reach. He focused his thoughts and switched to his talent information. Fire element talent, SSS. Wind element talent, S. Ice element talent, SS. Ice is stronger than wind. Next, I need to push both elements to peak stage. Qin Shen brimmed with confidence. Breaking through to one-star warrior would take time, at least 7 days. He needed to condense an elemental imprint, which couldn't be rushed. Boss. The staff member called out as Qin Shen returned. The exit is this way. Shall I drive you? No need. What's your name? Qin Shen asked. I'm Wu Fong. You can call me Xiao Fong, she replied cheerfully. Xin Chen asking for her name meant she'd left an impression on him. Xin Chen nodded. Xiaofeng, what's the reward for certifying body refinement late stage under 18? And peak stage? Late stage is 100,000 yuan, and peak stage is 200,000 yuan. If you certify again before turning 18, you can still claim the 100,000, Wu Fang explained. She could tell Qin Chen wasn't wealthy. His purchase of the beast crystal puzzled her, but she assumed he had his reasons. City of Rong announcements. Suddenly, a voice echoed throughout the city. Young genius Xiao Quan has achieved 1-star warrior status. He is awarded 1 million yuan and a second-grade martial art. People looked up enviously. The rewards weren't particularly extravagant, but receiving them directly from the city lord brought immense prestige. Zhao Quan must be from the Zhao family. The Zhao family is impressive, first Zhao Liang, and now Zhao Quan. Zhao Quan is only 20 years old. Wu Fang marveled. You seem to know a lot about the Zhao family? Qin Chen asked. Zhao Quan, his sworn enemy. I don't know much about their inner workings, but I know about the two brothers, Wu Fang replied. She had worked at the Martial Artist Association for years and remembered their certifications. 3 years ago, Zhao Liang became a 2-star warrior at the age of 23. And Zhao Quan reached body refinement peak stage at 19. Reaching peak stage at 19 is rare in Rong City. His talent must be at least A level. She had a good sense of the talent levels of Rong City's elites. Let's go to the certification hall, Qin Chen said. A 20-year-old 1-star warrior, a 19-year-old at body refinement peak, did that qualify as genius? Wu Fan looked at Qin Chen's back, puzzled, but followed him. Take me to certify again, Qin Chen demanded. Sir, if the certification fails, there's a fee, Wu Fang reminded. She assumed the citywide announcement had spurred Qin Chen into action. Bring the equipment. Qin Chen didn't explain further. Wu Fang reluctantly fetched the equipment from the staff. The people in the hall saw Qin Chen going for another certification and were taken aback. He's doing it again. Did he just step outside and break through? Someone muttered with a laugh, clearly not believing it. Qin Chen pressed his palm onto the equipment. Everyone held their breath, eyes fixed on him. The first flame symbol lit up, followed by the second. Refining body, late stage, someone exclaimed. When the third flame appeared, another person cried out, he actually broke through after just going out. Could it really be a breakthrough? No way, he must have been hiding his strength all along, someone else speculated skeptically. Beside him, Wu Fang was stunned while staring at the equipment, then at Qin Chen. Sir, no rush. Qin Chen smiled, unleashing his fire elemental force completely. The fourth flame lit up. Instantly, the hall erupted into chaos, shocked voices buzzing throughout. Not even 18, and already at the peak of refining body. Who is he? The city lord's illegitimate son? Exclamations and whispers filled the room. At that moment, a man in formal attire approached Qin Chen, extending his hand warmly. Hello, I'm Su Hua, the director here. Director Su, Qin Chen replied, shaking his hand. Could I have a word with you? Su Hua asked, uncharacteristically courteous. For someone of his position, such politeness was rare, but Qin Chen's appearance warranted it. Qin Chen nodded. Su Hua smiled. This way, please. He turned to Wu Fang. You come along too. Wu Fang continued following Qin Chen, ensuring she remained composed. The three entered a private VIP room and sat down. Su Hua said, Wu Fang, prepare some tea for Mr. Qin. Wu Fang quickly went to work. Qin Chen chuckled. Director Su, just call me Qin. Mr. feels odd, I'm still a student. He also sensed that Su Hua was a martial artist himself. Su Hua laughed. Alright, brother Qin it is, then. Actually, I'm here to inform you that your recent certification qualifies for a 300,000 yuan reward. It's a significant sum, and I need to handle the process personally. It'll only take a few minutes. At that moment, Wu Fang returned with the tea. Hearing about the reward, Wu Fang was visibly surprised. She glanced at Su Hua in disbelief. The bonuses for martial artist certifications followed strict regulations, and even for an amount like 300,000 yuan, it was unusual for a director to personally oversee it. Su Hua gave Wu Fang a meaningful look. He didn't need to involve himself, but Qin Chen's talent was extraordinary, and Su Hua wanted to build a connection. Thank you, Director Su, Qin Chen nodded. The 300,000 yuan was beyond his expectations. It seemed the rewards for late-stage and peak certifications had been combined. Su Hua smiled and quickly operated the computer. Shortly afterward, Qin Chen received a notification on his phone confirming the deposit. By the way, brother Qin, you're still in senior year? Yes, Rong City First High School. First High? We're alumni. I graduated from there as well. The two exchanged a few casual remarks. Suddenly, Qin Chen asked, Director Su, are there additional rewards for dual-element certifications? Su Hua froze briefly, and Wu Fang's body stiffened as she turned to look at Qin Chen in astonishment. She understood Qin Chen's ways, this question likely meant he was a dual-element cultivator. There are no additional rewards for dual-element certifications. Su Hua shook his head. Dual-element cultivation is extremely challenging and time-consuming, so the authorities don't encourage pursuing both simultaneously. After all, dual-element cultivation required sensing two elements, significantly slowing progress. Generally, officials recommended focusing on one element first, reaching a bottleneck, and only then considering a second element. This was why there were no rewards specifically for dual-element certifications. Brother Qin, are you dual-element? Su Hua asked in astonishment. Qin Shen simply took a sip of tea without answering. Since there was no reward, he saw no need to reveal his dual-element status. Keeping it hidden could serve as a trump card against the Zhao family in the future. Su Hua couldn't discern whether Qin Shen was dual-element, but he didn't press further, shifting the conversation to a more casual topic. Half an hour later, Qin Shen stood up and said, "Director Su, please don't publicize my certification for now." Many people in the hall had witnessed his certification, but most didn't know him. Even if word spread, it would likely remain localized. For now, he preferred to keep a low profile. No problem. But your information has already been uploaded to the system, so Rome City's higher-ups will eventually take notice. All certification data was compiled into records. That's fine, Qin Shen waved dismissively before turning to leave. Wu Fong wanted to see him off but was declined. After Qin Shen left, Wu Fong couldn't help but remark, "Director Su, he's the most talented person I've ever seen." Zhao Quan pales in comparison. Su Hua nodded in agreement. Qin Shen, not even 18, had reached the peak of refining body, an extraordinary feat in Rome City. However, he cautioned Wu Fong, "Keep such opinions to yourself." "Understood, Director," Wu Fong said with a smile. "But I think Qin Shen and Zhao Quan seem to have some sort of grudge." "What makes you say that?" Su Hua asked, suddenly alert. He was well aware of the Zhao family's immense influence in Rome City, and even he tread carefully around them. Qin Shen didn't look like someone from a wealthy family, so the idea of him having a feud with the Zhao family was intriguing. Just now, when Qin Shen was about to leave after buying beast crystals, a citywide announcement was made. When he heard Zhao Quan's name, he immediately changed his mind and came for certification. I think it was because of Zhao Quan that he exposed his strength. He didn't want to lose to him. She believed Qin Shen was inherently low-key. If not for the announcement, he probably wouldn't have come for certification, and most people would have assumed he was only at the mid-stage of refining body. Of course, Qin Shen's main motivation was still the money. Su Hua found her reasoning plausible. His eyes glinted with interest. A grudge with the Zhao family? If that were true, he might be willing to take a calculated risk. Xiaofang, discreetly investigate the details of Qin Shen's relationship with the Zhao family. Be thorough but low-key, Su Hua instructed. By the time Qin Shen left the Martial Arts Association, night had fallen. He hailed a cab and headed home. As soon as he entered, he saw Qin Dade and Li Xiufen sitting on the sofa, seemingly waiting for him. "Xiao Chen, we need to discuss something," Li Xiufen began. Qin Shen sat down, waiting for them to continue. "Xiao Chen, where's the beast crystal? We've decided to sell it. A top-grade beast crystal can fetch 80,000 yuan. We'll use the money to buy supplements to help you meet the cultivation requirement before the college entrance exams." They had originally planned to sell it in secret and surprise Qin Shen with the supplements afterward. But when they searched his room, they only found an empty box. The beast crystal was gone. Qin Shen turned to Qin Dai. "Weren't you the one who opposed selling it all along?" He sighed. "I was too stubborn before, not considering our family's situation. My team leader suggested selling it for money, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. Now, I've thought it through. The family's financial strain was worsening." He knew Qin Shen's fire sensitivity was at 0.9, just 0.1 short. With supplements, they could bridge the gap, securing cultivation qualifications. 3 months until the college entrance exams. Only by getting into college could one be considered successful. Even the lowest-tier university would allow graduates to reach the early stage of body refinement, making life much easier. "I'm not selling." Qin Shen waved his hand firmly. What would he sell? Selling it would be equivalent to selling himself. The couple was stunned, not expecting such a resolute response from him. "I'm not selling, don't worry. I can already cultivate," Qin Shen admitted openly. The two had worried about him for a whole year and finally breathed a sigh of relief. "You can cultivate?" They were shocked. Li Xiufen walked up to him, touching his forehead. "Xiaochun, what's going on with you today?" Qin Shen pulled out a certificate. "Look at this." Li Xiufen took it, her hands trembling. "A certificate for the early stage of body refinement? Let me see. Let me see." Qin Dai, unable to move easily, called from the sofa. Li Xiufen walked over and handed him the certificate. He stared at it and said excitedly, "It really is early-stage body refinement." His expression grew complex. With 3 months left until the exams, reaching the early stage of body refinement was something only top students could achieve. Ordinary students typically didn't succeed until they were already in college. Qin Shen watched them and smiled. He had actually obtained 4 certificates this time. Fortunately, he decided against showing the peak body refinement certificate, otherwise, the two might faint from shock. He stood up and returned to his room, leaving them be. The next day, the homeroom teacher walked onto the podium, looking at the students below. Today, we'll have combat training to assess your progress over this period. The college entrance exams are approaching. I hope you'll show your true abilities. Based on the training results, the school will select outstanding students for special training. During the final stretch before exams, the school also had quotas to meet. Producing excellent students wasn't just about individual effort, it reflected the school's dedication as well. Alright, head to the training grounds. The whole school will be watching, don't embarrass yourselves. The teacher eyed the students. The training grounds were less than a 20-minute walk from the teaching building. By the time Qin Shen arrived, over 1,000 people had already gathered. Everyone was divided by class into 10 groups. Qin Shen's class 7 was in the second group. Each group had a supervising teacher. I'm Fong Lei, your instructor. Who's stepping forward first? Fong Lei asked. Teacher, are we sparring against you? Someone inquired. Fong Lei chuckled. I'm at the peak of body refinement. Want to give it a shot? Hearing this, everyone's faces changed. The peak of body refinement, no genius in the entire school could match that level. The first to step forward will act as the stage master. No one dares to volunteer? Fong Lei's gaze swept across the students. At that moment, a student stood and walked to the center. I'm Liao Yang. The crowd immediately reacted, their expressions shifting. Liao Yan was ranked 5th among the top 10 geniuses of the senior class. He got assigned to our group? How are we supposed to compete? Someone muttered in resignation. With Liao Yang on stage, everyone else was destined to be overpowered. Fong Lei nodded. Seeing no one else step forward, he began calling names. You, up next. A student stepped onto the stage. Bang! He was knocked down within seconds. Fong Lei continued calling students. Time passed, and one by one, they were defeated by Liao Yan, none lasting more than 3 moves. You! Fong Lei pointed to the class monitor. Go, class monitor. The students from class 7 cheered. The monitor forced a bitter smile, knowing he was no match. He managed 10 moves before being defeated. The energy in class 7 plummeted. Liao Yang is too strong, it's unfair, someone muttered, shaking their head. Meanwhile, the girls in the group looked at Liao Yang with newfound admiration in their eyes. Not bad. Fong Lei nodded in satisfaction. Liao Yang had likely already stepped into the early stage of body refinement. Fong Lei scanned the remaining students who hadn't fought yet. You! He pointed at Qin Shen. Qin Shen stood up. Wang Hai tugged at him. Don't let yourself get beaten up too badly. Qin Shen nodded and walked onto the stage, speaking calmly. Qin Shen. His classmates were taken aback. He's not nervous at all. If you're called, you have to go. Just be mentally prepared. By now, Liao Yang seemed bored after defeating so many opponents. He looked at Qin Shen and asked, Ready? Ready, Qin Shen nodded. Before his words even faded, Liao Yan lunged like a leopard, his speed lightning fast, closing the gap in the blink of an eye. The girls in the crowd screamed. Liao Yan! The atmosphere reached a climax. Bang! A figure flew out. Liao Yan! The screams stopped abruptly. Everyone stared at the stage in disbelief. The previously celebrated Liao Yan was now on the ground, his face pale and his expression pained. Meanwhile, Qin Shen still stood at the center of the stage, not having moved a single step. The crowd's minds went blank. The 5th-ranked genius, Liao Yang, had been defeated in a single move, he hadn't even had time to react. Qin Shen! Qin Shen! Wang Hai was the first to snap out of it, shouting loudly. Qin Shen! Qin Shen! The students of class 7 joined in, cheering his name. Even Fong Lei was stunned, his pupils contracting. He hadn't been able to discern Qin Shen's true strength in that moment. Quickly, get a couple of people to carry him to the medical room. He noticed Liao Yang writhing in pain and gave orders immediately. After Liao Yang was carried away, Qin Shen looked at Fong Lei, who was staring back at him. Qin Shen scratched his head awkwardly. Teacher, I didn't control my strength well on my first try. Fong Lei was about to speak when Qin Shen interjected. Teacher, just pick someone else, I promise I'll go easier this time. As his words fell, the surrounding students looked horrified. Fong Lei froze, thinking to himself, if Liao Yang went down in one move, what's the point of picking anyone else? Qin Shen, come with me. Fong Lei addressed the rest of the students. You all keep sparring amongst yourselves, I'll be back shortly. With that, he led Qin Shen away, leaving the others in shock and full of questions. What's Qin Shen's actual level? Mid-stage body refinement, maybe? The only one in the whole school at that level is Wang Chang. Damn, this guy's been hiding his strength all along. Around Wang Hai, classmates from class 7 swarmed, eager for any insight. Knowing he was close to Qin Shen, they bombarded him with questions. I've known all along, Wang Hai said smugly. He's not at mid-stage, he's at late-stage body refinement. The chubby boy looked both proud and incredulous. He hid it from me and got this strong in secret. Late-stage body refinement? Gasps and murmurs spread through the crowd. They watched Qin Shen's retreating figure with disbelief. The school's martial arts building was where students sparred and tested their combat strength. Qin Shen, what level are you really at? Fong Lei's expression was serious. Don't hold back, this concerns the school's plans for you. In such a critical phase before the exams, hiding one's abilities would only be detrimental. Peak body refinement, Qin Shen replied evenly. Though he couldn't reveal his tri-element identity, peak body refinement was shocking enough. I knew it. Peak body refinement. Fong Lei exclaimed, gripping Qin Shen's shoulders in excitement. Would you mind testing your combat strength? Mr. Fong, calm down, go ahead with the test. Qin Shen said helplessly, also curious to see if the instrument's reading would match the system's results. Wait. Fong Lei pulled out his phone and made a call. Not long after, a man in his 50s arrived. Fong Lei, what now? You insisted I come over. The man sounded displeased. Principal, it's a big deal. A student's combat power test, you need to see this. Fong Lei said excitedly. The principal wasn't particularly interested, but suddenly, a loud boom caught his attention. Turning toward the instrument, he saw the numbers on the display frantically jumping before finally settling. He froze in shock. 150. Even Fong Lei, who was already aware that Qin Shen had reached the peak of body refinement, was stunned. This number far exceeded the normal range for body refinement peak. Although some individuals with exceptionally strong constitutions could surpass 100, 150 was nearly impossible. Fong Lei, which student is this? The principal turned toward Qin Shen, double-checking that he didn't recognize him, and asked loudly. He knew all the top students in the school, but he had never heard of Qin Shen. Principal, he's from our school's senior year class 7. Fong Lei finally responded, feeling a bit helpless. The principal then carefully examined Qin Shen, feeling increasingly pleased the more he looked. Student Qin, come sit here. The principal gestured for Qin Shen to join him. Are you a dual affinity? He asked. For someone at the peak of body refinement to achieve a combat power of 150, there were two possibilities: either he was an extraordinary anomaly, or he had dual affinities. Since Qin Shen didn't exhibit the extreme muscular build typical of the former, the principal leaned toward the latter. Qin Shen nodded without denying it. Dual affinities were rare but not unheard of. Ha, excellent, the principal said, laughing heartily. With dual affinities and a combat power of 150, it meant that Qin Shen's secondary affinity had likely already reached the mid-stage of body refinement. His cultivation speed was terrifying. However, I suggest you focus on achieving the peak of body refinement for now. The college entrance exams are approaching. If you can become a one-star warrior by then, you'll have your pick of universities across Long Nation, the principal advised seriously. Having worked at this school for many years, the principal had never seen a talent like Qin Shen and knew he had to take him seriously. The college entrance exams could be Qin Shen's ultimate weapon. I understand, Qin Shen nodded, saying very little. What kind of support would you like from the school? The principal suddenly asked. The school had programs to nurture top students, but Qin Shen wasn't an ordinary top student. He had left other geniuses far behind, and the existing plans weren't suitable for him. Nothing special, Qin Shen replied with a slight shake of his head. He felt that the school's resources couldn't compare to his system, so there was no need. But I heard the school offers special scholarships? Qin Shen asked. The principal, seeing how straightforward he was, nodded. Yes, the highest amount is 100,000. That's great. I'd like to apply. My family is very poor, Qin Shen said earnestly. The principal, moved by his honesty, agreed to help expedite the process within 3 days. Qin Shen smiled. With the scholarship added to what he already had, his total funds now amounted to 420,000, a fortune for many families. Any other requests? The principal asked. I'd like more flexible study hours. My cultivation method is a bit different, Qin Shen replied. At this point, attending regular classes held little meaning for him. He needed more time to focus on improving his strength. No problem. The principal agreed without hesitation. After leaving, Qin Shen skipped his combat classes and headed straight to the city's largest energy market. This marketplace dealt in items like beast cores, hides, carcasses, and elixirs, all under official management, with discounts available for purchases. With 320,000, he could push his wind affinity to its peak and start cultivating his ice affinity. 2 top-grade wind affinity beast cores would push my refinement progress to 45%. To reach 100%, I'll need 2 more. His wind affinity was S-grade. Standard beast cores were less effective, and even 4 of them might not suffice. 2 top-grade beast cores, priced at 160,000, would be enough. The remaining funds could buy 2 top-grade ice affinity beast cores. He quickly found the wind affinity beast core stall on the second floor. 120,000 each? Qin Shen frowned. Wind affinity beasts are rarer than fire affinity ones, so their cores are pricier, the vendor explained. Shin-chan understood, the price differences among beast cores varied significantly. I'll take 2, he said, pulling out his certificate of body refinement peak. The vendor's expression changed dramatically upon seeing the certificate. Sir, you. What's the matter? Shin-chan frowned. Nothing. It's just that you qualify for a 40% discount, the vendor replied. 40% off? Shin-chan was surprised, recalling that members of the Martial Arts Association received discounts based on their cultivation stage, 20% for mid-stage, 30% for late stage, and 40% for peak stage. Pack them all, Shin-chan said with a smile. At 72,000 each, the discount was substantial. Understood. The vendor quickly started packing. Keep this confidential, Shin-chan said softly. The vendor nodded repeatedly. He also purchased 2 top-grade ice affinity beast cores. Afterward, Shin-chan had 32,000 left. He kept 2,000 for personal use and set aside the rest for his family, which would suffice for now. Once the scholarship came through, he could give his family even more, significantly improving their quality of life. After completing his purchases, he walked toward the market's exit. At the entrance, a man and woman were walking in. When the man saw Shin-chan, he froze, then frowned at the beast cores in Shin-chan's hands. What's wrong, young Master Quan? The woman beside him asked. The man stared at Shin-chan. I've seen him before. He came to confront me about orchestrating harm against Qin Dahu. He had admitted to it at the time. Though Shin-chan's family wasn't wealthy, the items in his hands made Zhao Quan's expression darken. Could he have recorded our conversation and approached my family? Zhao Quan began to suspect. While he was arrogant, Zhao Quan wasn't completely lawless. If Shin-chan had evidence, it could become a problem. Though it wouldn't ruin the Zhao family, it would certainly cause embarrassment, especially since Qin Dahu was a retired soldier. This guy must be eliminated. Zhao Quan's thoughts turned cold. If Shin-chan truly had a recording, it was like a ticking time bomb. While it wouldn't destroy the Zhao family, it could create significant trouble. Young Master Quan, why do you associate with such ordinary people? The woman looked at Shin-chan with disdain. Shin-chan's simple attire lacked any semblance of wealth. When Shin-chan noticed Zhao Quan, he glanced at him briefly but paid no further attention. Shin-chan! Zhao Quan called out to him. So it really is you. Zhao Quan feigned surprise and delight. Last time you came looking for me, I wasn't in a good place. Do you have time now? I'd like to compensate you. How do you plan to compensate me? Shin-chan asked. Zhao Quan's heart leaped with joy. Come on, let's talk in my car. Shin-chan smiled and didn't refuse, following him out of the market. I don't have cash on hand, but I own a villa in the suburbs. All my money is there. How about I take you there and give it to you? Zhao Quan said with a smile after they got into the car. Is that so? Shin-chan pretended to hesitate. Zhao Quan grew anxious. Don't worry, you can take as much as you want once we get there. Shin-chan appeared conflicted but finally gritted his teeth and nodded. Fine, but we need to be back soon. My car is fast enough. Zhao Quan laughed, clearly pleased. Get out. Zhao Quan glared at the woman, his face cold. The woman hesitated, looking reluctant. Young Master Quan, I still don't know where your villa is. I want to see it. My villa is for me alone to know about. Zhao Quan snapped coldly. Why do you need to go? We're done, so stop clinging. It's better if you stay out of matters related to my villa. The woman looked furious and was about to retort when Shin-chan interjected. Young Master Quan, let it go. Just let her come along. 2 men going alone, how embarrassing would that be? Zhao Quan paused, initially wanting to refuse. However, afraid that Shin-chan might back out, he reluctantly nodded. Fine, whatever. He stepped on the gas, and the car sped toward the outskirts. Half an hour later, the car turned onto a desolate, remote road. There were no houses or signs of people in sight. The car came to a stop. Zhao Quan said, the road ahead isn't suitable for driving. We'll have to walk from here. He got out of the car after speaking. The woman, unaware of anything unusual, followed after him. Shin-chan smiled faintly. He quickly took out 4 beast crystals and swallowed them in one gulp before slowly opening the car door. Ding! Devouring successful. Physical wind element refinement progress, 100%. Ding! Devouring successful. Physical ice element refinement progress, 100%. Shin-chan felt a surge of unprecedented power coursing through his body. Name, Shin-chan. Fire element level, body refinement peak. Wind element level, body refinement peak. Ice element level, body refinement peak. Combat power, 500. Ding! Congratulations to the host for mastering 3 elements simultaneously. Physical limits achieved. Divine level mission activated. Holy crap! Shin-chan exclaimed, stunned as he looked at his combat power. He had thought that swallowing merely 2 top-tier ice element beast crystals would allow him to break through to the peak and reach the 300 combat power threshold of a 1-star warrior. but he had exceeded it by over 200 points. With Zhao Quan having just broken into 1-star status, there was no way his combat power could match Qin Shen's. Tremble, Zhao Quan. Qin Shen muttered with a grin as he stepped out of the car, his gaze fixed on him. Ding! Divine level mission activated. Task 1, become a 1-star warrior within 6 months. Reward, Fire Element Mark Fragment, common. Task 2, become a 1-star warrior within 3 months. Reward, Windfire Dual Element Mark Fragment, difficult. Task 3, become a 1-star warrior within 1 month. Reward, Fire Wind Ice Triple Element Mark Fragment plus Tier 2 Martial Skill, Hell. Task 4, become a 1-star warrior within 3 days. Reward, 2 random Mark Fragments plus Martial Skill Package, Divine. Qin Shen's eyes locked onto Task 4, the Divine level mission was the only one that truly mattered to him. The Mark Fragments were pieces of elemental marks. To break through to a 1-star warrior, one needed to condense an elemental mark. With Qin Shen's devouring talent, collecting enough Mark Fragments would allow him to condense one. The most tempting part, however, was the martial skill package. Qin Shen couldn't predict what kind of martial skill it contained, but given that it was tied to a divine level mission, it had to be extraordinary. This divine level mission is insane. The time frame of 3 days was nearly impossible. Ding! Mission acceptance countdown, 3 seconds. If the host does not accept, a random mission will be passively assigned. Countdown begins. Damn it! Qin Shen's expression shifted. He quickly accepted Task 4. Qin, hurry up. We're almost there. Zhao Quan called out, glancing back. Move it already, the woman snapped impatiently, her face filled with annoyance. Her eyes carried a deep disdain. If only it were just her and Zhao Quan, how perfect would that be? Qin Shen was nothing but an irritating third wheel. Coming! Qin Shen stopped stalling and caught up with them. Ahead, a dilapidated reservoir came into view, surrounded by overgrown woods and wilderness. Young Master Quan? Where's the villa? The woman scanned the area, her gaze landing on a rundown shack nearby. It was likely the former residence of the reservoir's caretaker. As for the villa, there wasn't even a shadow of one. Zhao Quan suddenly turned around and seized the woman by the neck. Villa? This entire reservoir is your grave, doesn't that sound comfortable enough? The woman's expression changed drastically. She tried to scream, but no sound came out. Zhao Quan showed no mercy. With a sharp twist of his wrist, a crack echoed as her neck snapped. He tossed her lifeless body aside. With a loud splash, the corpse plunged into the reservoir. Qin Shen observed the entire scene with an emotionless expression. The reason he had agreed to let the woman tag along was for this exact outcome. The woman had ties to Zhao Quan, and her absence would have drawn suspicion from the Zhao family. With her dead, killing Zhao Quan would delay any investigation, buying Qin Shen the precious time he needed. Zhao Quan turned to Qin Shen, surprised to see that he hadn't fled. You didn't run? He had assumed Qin Shen would panic and run after witnessing a murder. Yet, Qin Shen stood there, unfazed. Scared stiff? Zhao Quan scoffed and swung a fiery punch at him. A 1-star fire element warrior. Qin Shen fixed his gaze on the incoming fist, neither dodging nor retreating. He countered with a punch of his own. Boom! A deafening impact reverberated as Zhao Quan let out a scream. His body flew backward and landed heavily on the ground. You've broken through to a warrior? Zhao Quan's face turned pale as he stared at Qin Shen in terror. He had just advanced to a 1-star warrior with a combat power of 320. Yet Qin Shen, with a single punch, had completely overpowered him. This meant Qin Shen's strength far surpassed his own. It was inconceivable. Qin Shen closed the distance with a few steps, raising his palm to strike Zhao Quan's head. Die! Zhao Quan screamed in panic. I'm from the Zhao family. You can't kill me. If you do, the Zhao family will hunt you and your family down. Smack! Qin Shen's palm came down without hesitation. Zhao Quan's terrified eyes dimmed as his body went limp. Qin Shen grabbed the corpse and hurled it into the reservoir with a loud splash. As he watched the two bodies sink beneath the water, he turned and walked away. Not long after, he retrieved Zhao Quan's car and drove it into the reservoir as well. After cleaning up the scene, he left decisively. Everything was swift and efficient. As night fell, Qin Shen returned to his room and sat cross-legged to cultivate. First, I'll condense the fire element mark. A flickering flame appeared in his palm. Condensing a mark involved transforming elemental energy into a personal imprint, enabling mastery over elemental power. To become a 1-star warrior, one had to condense at least one elemental mark. With an SSS-level fire element talent, Qin Shen could feel his control over the fire element growing stronger. By the following morning, he opened his eyes and checked his progress in the system. Fire element mark progress, 2%. Name, Qin Shen. Fire element level, body refinement peak, element mark, 2%. Wind element level, body refinement peak. Ice element level, body refinement peak. Combat power, 504. At this rate, it'll take 50 days to break through to a 1-star warrior, Qin Shen muttered, shaking his head. Despite his exceptional talent, this was still a lengthy process. For an ordinary person, it might take years. He thought of the elemental training rooms at the Martial Arts Association. These rooms had a dense concentration of elemental energy, which could accelerate the condensation of marks. However, the cost was exorbitant. A single night could cost tens of thousands, with prices varying depending on the element. To complete the process in 3 days would cost over $1 million, and even then, success wasn't guaranteed. At that moment, his phone rang. Xinshan, come to the school, the principal's voice came through the line. Xinshan paused briefly before replying, Principal, I have the right to study independently. The principal didn't explain much, his tone urgent, I know, it's important. Come quickly. After hanging up, Xinshan immediately left his house and headed straight for the school. Upon entering the principal's office, Xinshan asked, Principal, what's so urgent? Inside the office, it wasn't just the principal, the school director was there as well. The principal smiled and gestured for Xinshan to sit. Have you heard of the Genius Training Camp? Xinshan nodded, already aware that the Genius Training Camp was a special program for top-performing seniors. Every year, they select one elite student from each high school in the city to participate before the college entrance exams. This year, our school's pick is you, the principal said, his eyes full of anticipation. In Rome City, there were over 150 high schools. The school's performance had been average in previous years, but with Xinshan on board this time, they could aim for the top 10, maybe even break into the top 3 or claim first place, bringing glory to the school. The principal asked, Are you interested in participating? The director looked at Xinshan with a complex expression. In the past, students fought fiercely for a spot in the camp. Now, it seemed like the principal was practically begging Xinshan to join. Xinshan asked, When does it start? Noon, the principal replied. The tight timeline made Xinshan frown. While he was interested, he also needed to figure out how to break through to a first-star warrior within 3 days, so his schedule wasn't exactly flexible. Sensing his hesitation, the principal quickly added, If you get in, the city awards you 100,000 yuan, plus guidance from top instructors. But more importantly, there's an elemental training room. Elemental training room? Xinshan was shocked, then excited. That was exactly what he needed most right now. The principal smiled and explained, It's newly developed. The training speed is 15 times faster than normal. Xinshan was stunned. The best publicly available ones only reached 13 times, and those were rare. A room with 15 times the speed could help him achieve a breakthrough to a first-star warrior in just 2 days. The principal asked again, Will you join? Xinshan didn't hesitate, of course. The principal grinned, sweetening the deal further, If you take first place, the prize increases to 150,000 yuan. The school's official limit is 100,000, but I'm willing to bend the rules. Xinshan laughed lightly and said, Thank you, principal. The principal checked the time. You can leave now. Xinshan was taken aback. Right now? The principal affirmed, Yes, today by noon is the latest. Other schools have already sent their representatives. Xinshan asked, Where's the meeting point? The principal shook his head. I don't know. You'll have to find it yourself. If you don't arrive by nightfall, you're automatically disqualified. Feeling helpless but resolute, Xinshan turned and left. The principal and director exchanged smiles. They had intentionally designed the challenge to test the candidates' problem-solving skills, not just their strength. If a participant couldn't even locate the training camp within a day, they didn't deserve a spot. The director asked, Do you think he can take first place? The principal pondered. It's hard to say. A little pressure is good for him. There are 2 other strong contenders from 7th High and 9th High, both at the peak of body refinement. As Xinshan walked out of the school, he pulled out his phone and studied the map. There are 3 possible locations for elemental training rooms in Rome City. The Martial Arts Association, the City Sports Center, and the Ming Mountain Training Grounds, all 3 were plausible sites for the Genius Training Camp since the location changed every year and wasn't fixed. Staring at the map, Xinshan furrowed his brows. The 3 locations were in completely different directions, far apart. Visiting them all in one day would be impossible. Zooming in on the map, he noted the locations of all the high schools in the city and suddenly smiled. Most schools were near either the Martial Arts Association or the City Sports Center, but none were close to the Ming Mountain Training Grounds. Even the closest school to Ming Mountain was over 3 hours away, and the farthest was nearly 6 hours. To ensure fairness, Ming Mountain seemed like the most likely choice. It's probably Ming Mountain Training Grounds, Xinshan murmured, focusing on the distant location. It was the farthest from him, requiring a 5 to 6 hour journey. However, he didn't head straight for Ming Mountain. Instead, he moved toward the Martial Arts Association, which was only 30 minutes away, reasoning that checking there first wouldn't hurt. Suddenly, a taxi pulled up beside him. The driver leaned out and asked, Hey, kid, need a ride? Without hesitation, Xinshan opened the passenger door. To the Martial Arts Association. The driver chuckled and stepped on the gas. So young and already heading to the Martial Arts Association for certification? Impressive. During the ride, the driver kept chatting, asking if Qin Shen had a girlfriend and even mentioning he had a daughter. Qin Shen responded perfunctorily, his eyes narrowing slightly. "Driver, this isn't the right road. We're going the wrong way to the Martial Arts Association." He stared ahead as the driver took 2 turns in the opposite direction, moving farther and farther from their destination. "I've been driving taxis for 3 years, trust me, this is the way to the Martial Arts Association," the driver began. Bang! Qin Shen kicked open the car door and leapt out. The driver's face changed, but he didn't stop the car. Instead, he sped off, glancing in the rearview mirror in shock. Qin Shen stood firmly in the distance, unharmed. Kicking open a car door like that, at least mid-level body refinement. "This batch of geniuses is tougher than the last," the driver muttered, dialing a number. "Number 37 is out of my control. Mid-level body refinement." Qin Shen smirked, realizing the genius training camp's tests had already begun. He turned and started walking toward Ming Mountain training grounds. The taxi pulled over, and the driver got out, watching him in confusion. This driver was actually one of the camp's instructors, tasked with creating obstacles for Qin Shen. His designation, 37, originally belonged to another participant but had now been assigned to Qin Shen. "Not playing by the rules, huh?" The instructor was stunned. He could understand Qin Shen kicking open the car door, but abandoning the Martial Arts Association entirely to head straight for Ming Mountain? That was unexpected. Most people would become more determined to visit the Martial Arts Association if someone tried to stop them. Qin Shen's decisiveness caught him off guard. Before long, Qin Shen flagged down another taxi. This time, he carefully confirmed the driver's route before relaxing. Hours later, he arrived at the base of Ming Mountain. Looking up, he saw the peak shrouded in mist, hidden from view. Nearby, a boy and a girl were struggling to climb the mountain. "Ming Mountain is so hard to climb. We've only made it a third of the way. If we don't reach the top by nightfall, we'll fail and become the laughingstock of the school," the girl panted. She was visibly anxious, desperate to pass the training camp's test. Initially, she had been full of confidence. "Ming Mountain is known for being unclimbable by ordinary people." "Of course it's tough," the boy replied. Though he wasn't entirely at ease, his movements had become steadier. "Xiaoyan, I can't wait for you anymore. I have to move ahead. The higher we go, the harder it gets. If I stick with you, I might not make it either," he suddenly said. The girl glared at him furiously. "Zhou Lei, you're just going to leave me behind? And you still want to date me?" Zhou Lei felt awkward. He had always liked Xiaoyan, but if he stayed behind with her, he might lose his chance to enter the genius training camp. "What are you afraid of? Our 2 schools are the closest to Mingshan training ground and we're the first to start climbing. If we can't make it up, there's no way others will. When the camp has no one, they'll have no choice but to let everyone in." Everyone here was the top student at their respective schools. If they had a head start and still couldn't manage, the others would surely be even worse off. This training camp not being here is just the worst luck. "But if you leave me behind, don't ever talk to me again." The girl's tone was firm. Zhou Lei's expression shifted. Just as he was about to argue, he suddenly glanced downhill and exclaimed in shock, "Xiaoyan, look." "Look at what?" Xiaoyan replied impatiently but still turned. They saw a figure sprinting uphill at a shocking speed, closing the distance rapidly. Mingshan had no paved roads, only loose stones and muddy trails that were hard to traverse. Yet the person moved as if walking on flat ground, unhindered by the trees or rocks. This, Xiaoyan was stunned. Could it be an instructor? Zhou Lei guessed, though unsure. "It's not an instructor," Xiaoyan suddenly exclaimed. As the figure got closer, Zhou Lei caught a clear glimpse of the face and was startled. "No way, is that another student? A student at least at the late body refining stage? How could someone like that be here? I heard there were some monsters in this year's group. Could it be true?" The figure got closer still, and they could finally make out Qin Shen's face. "Fellow student, which school are you from?" Zhou Lei couldn't help but ask. Before the question had fully left his mouth, Qin Shen had already sped past them. "First high school," Qin Shen shouted back. The two looked up, only to see that Qin Shen was already 100 meters ahead. "Holy crap!" Zhou Lei cursed, unable to contain himself. While they struggled to climb, Qin Shen moved like the wind. "Wind element body refining late stage," Xiaoyan muttered. Qin Shen's speed as he passed them could only be explained by wind element abilities. At the body refining stage, without martial arts training, only someone with a wind element could move that fast. Qin Shen climbed steadily, his breathing even, making it seem more like he was enjoying himself rather than struggling. No wonder ordinary people can't get up this mountain. "I feel like my cultivation speed is increasing," he thought, astonished. It felt as though the mountain carried spiritual energy. Every breath he took seemed like a boost to his training. "If I stayed here long term, my cultivation progress would definitely surpass what's possible at the base of the mountain. I've only run into 2 people so far, so I must be the first to make it," Qin Shen thought, looking up. The summit wasn't yet visible, but he could tell he was halfway there. As the climb got harder, Qin Shen didn't slow down. Initially, he relied on his peak wind element strength. When it became taxing, he activated his fire element energy, and eventually, he unleashed the power of all three elements together. Boom! With a final step, he reached the summit of Mingshan. His blood surged with excitement, though he quickly calmed himself. Exhaling deeply, he felt utterly exhilarated. Who would have thought? Just from climbing a mountain, my three-element imprints have condensed further. He checked his system. The imprints for all three elements had increased by 2%, with fire now at 4%. My combat power has also risen to 516. Though the improvement wasn't dramatic, considering the training camp hadn't even officially started, it was a solid beginning. That must be the training camp ahead. He looked forward. The summit of Mingshan was an expansive platform, its sheer size stretching beyond his line of sight. About 200 meters away stood several buildings, even a cluster of tall ones. As he approached, two men in military uniforms stepped out. One of them glanced at his watch before looking back at Qin Chen. Not bad, you're first, and you made it in such a short time. Which school are you from? First high school, Qin Chen responded. First high school, really? The two men seemed surprised, scrutinizing him. No need to fake it, Qin Chen said, spreading his hands. I'm the real deal. The two men gave him another once over. One of them remarked, first high school is at least a 5-hour drive from here. Meaning you climbed the mountain in less than 2 hours. The other finished, his tone filled with astonishment. Qin Chen didn't react. In reality, since he'd been added to the roster at the last minute, he had started later than the others. His actual climb had taken less than an hour. Impressive. Very impressive. Welcome to the Genius Training Camp. We're responsible for security here. The two men introduced themselves. What's your name? One of them asked, extending his hand. Qin Chen, he replied, shaking hands. But almost immediately, Qin Chen frowned. The man's grip was growing tighter. Qin Chen, huh? Very good, the man said with a smile, while continuing to increase the pressure. Qin Chen's expression remained calm as he gradually applied more strength in return. The man's face changed, he hadn't expected Qin Chen to fight back. Deciding not to lose, he added even more force. The two engaged in a silent contest, their grip intensifying. Qin Chen's peak body refining strength came into play, and the man stared at him in shock. The other uniformed man also looked surprised. He could tell his colleague was using peak body refining strength, yet Qin Chen didn't seem the slightest bit strained. Peak body refining, the man thought, startled. The man shaking hands with Qin Chen was equally shocked, though he quickly rationalized it. Qin Chen had been the first to arrive, so being at the peak of body refining made sense. With a grin, the man pressed harder. Their task was simple, give these so-called geniuses a reality check, humble them, and weed out any weaklings. But suddenly, his expression changed. He realized Qin Chen's strength was increasing as well, matching his own without faltering. I don't believe this. Boom! He unleashed the power of a one-star martial artist, with a combat strength of around 350. Just as he began to feel smug, Qin Chen countered with an equal force, and it kept growing. The man broke into a cold sweat, his forehead damp with perspiration. As he continued to escalate his strength, he found himself nearing his limit. Qin Chen, welcome to the Genius Training Camp, he said quickly, releasing his grip. Qin Chen smiled faintly and released his hand as well. Thank you. Ha, no problem. The man laughed nervously, his voice shaking. Head over there to the gathering point. The instructor is waiting. Thanks. Qin Chen nodded and walked toward the designated area. What just happened? The other uniformed man asked after Qin Chen had left. It was clear that Qin Chen and his colleague had been evenly matched, but the situation still baffled him. He's a one-star martial artist. The power he just unleashed was even stronger than mine. My hand still hurts. The man flexed his fingers, shaken. He was a one-star martial artist himself, with a combat strength of about 350. By his estimation, Qin Chen's combat strength must have been at least 380. A combat strength of 380 would typically surpass that of a standard one-star martial artist, unless the person was exceptionally gifted. The two men turned to watch Qin Chen's retreating figure, their hearts heavy with disbelief. A one-star martial artist who hadn't yet come of age was a rare phenomenon in Rome City. Should we report this? No need. That was just a test earlier. We're not sure if he really broke through to one star. You mean, he could be dual element? Exactly. Don't take risks. With the boss's temper, if we report something uncertain, we'll be in trouble. The two finished discussing and continued waiting for the other trainees. Meanwhile, Qin Chen had already arrived at the designated plaza. It was a standard training ground, nothing special. Soon, more people began to reach the summit. Hold out for 5 seconds without screaming, and you pass, barked the man who had grabbed him earlier. Immediately, one student approached Qin Chen. A scream rang out moments later. Eliminated. After that, every few minutes, someone else was disqualified. As the sky darkened, fewer and fewer people climbed up the mountain. At this point, a man in military uniform appeared. He scanned the crowd. 72 left. Much better than the last batch. Anyone who hasn't made it here is automatically disqualified. Congratulations on officially entering the Genius Training Camp. My name is Ma Jun, and I'm one of your instructors. As soon as he finished speaking, the crowd erupted. Out of over 150 people, only 72 remained, a cut rate of more than half. Additionally, Ma Jun suddenly raised his voice, just because you've made it into the training camp doesn't mean you'll stay. The camp lasts for 2 months, and your performance will be tracked through a points system. Whoever has the lowest points each day will be eliminated immediately. Hearing this, everyone's expressions changed. Eliminating one person per day meant about 60 more would be cut over 2 months. Who was the first to arrive? Step forward. Ma Jun shouted. Everyone looked around until they saw Qin Chen step out. The crowd grew curious, wondering which school he belonged to. Ma Jun checked his list. Which school? Reporting to the instructor, First High. First High? Ma Jun seemed surprised. Someone from First High being the first to arrive was quite unexpected. The students all stared at Qin Chen, some in shock, some in doubt, and some with admiration. First High was far from the training camp, so for him to arrive first showed his impressive capability. Ma Jun skimmed his list. Your name is Wang Chang? Qin Chen paused for a moment, realizing he was standing in for Wang Chang. The principal hadn't explained, so the records hadn't been updated. My name is Qin Chen, he corrected. A last-minute replacement? Ma Jun frowned. Last-minute substitutes happened before, usually involving connections or background. Yes, I replaced him, Qin Chen nodded. As soon as he said this, the expressions of the other students changed. Connections, huh? I knew it. The first to arrive must have had someone pulling strings for him. The crowd began whispering among themselves. Only one boy stayed silent, the one Qin Chen had encountered earlier on the mountain. The girl who had been with him had clearly been eliminated, but he had made it through. Listening to the chatter, the boy smirked as if hearing a joke. Bunch of idiots. You'll see soon enough just how strong he is. Quiet. Ma Jun's stern voice cut through the noise. The crowd immediately fell silent. First High, Qin Chen. Ma Jun crossed out Wang Chang's name and replaced it with Qin Chen's. He then pulled out a number badge. Since you're taking Wang Chang's spot, his number is now yours. Take it and wait outside gate 4. He pointed into the distance. Qin Chen followed his gaze and saw 10 zones, each with a gate marked by a number. The first gate read 1 to 10. The second gate read 11 to 20. And so on. Without hesitation, Qin Chen headed toward the designated gate, though his mind raced. This clearly wasn't a resting area. Training camp accommodations were always single rooms to avoid disturbing each other during cultivation. These 10 zones undoubtedly served a different purpose. Soon, everyone found their corresponding gates based on their numbers. Those with numbers over 100 who hadn't been eliminated were automatically reassigned. At that moment, Ma Jun approached the group and announced loudly, "You've just completed a full day of entry assessments. You're all geniuses. But now begins the first points assessment. If you come out of the gate within 30 minutes, you're eliminated. Additionally, the lowest scorer will also be eliminated." What? Someone exclaimed. After already cutting half the group, another round had begun. Click, as he finished speaking, the gates creaked open, revealing numerous rooms inside, each marked with a number. Under the dim lighting, no one knew what awaited them, and a sense of dread filled the air. The unknown was the most terrifying. Go in, Ma Jun commanded. No one dared to hesitate and carefully stepped forward. Qin Chen was in the middle of the group. As soon as he entered, a chill swept over him. He walked past several doors until he reached room 37. Some people found their rooms and pressed their ears to the doors, trying to hear anything inside. 30 minutes in here? I thought this would be tougher. The room's so quiet, a burly man remarked. There's definitely a catch. They wouldn't make the test this easy. Why don't we just wait for the time to pass, someone suggested. The others shot him disdainful looks. This was the Genius Training Camp, there wouldn't be loopholes. Besides, staying outside the room would surely result in 0 points, potentially leading to mass elimination. The instructors were experts at closing loopholes. Who's going to open a door first? Someone asked. Everyone turned to Qin Chen. Brother Qin, you were the first to arrive, so you must be the strongest. Why don't you take the lead and check what's inside? A tall, somewhat handsome young man suggested. Yeah, Qin. We're all counting on you, added a girl with a decent figure but an otherwise plain appearance, smiling sweetly. No one else spoke, but it was clear they all approved. After all, Qin Chen was a last-minute addition, likely through connections. It made sense for him to go first. Qin Chen glanced at them indifferently before reaching for the door switch. Of course I'll open it, but not to scout for you. A true warrior fears nothing. Only the weak cower in hesitation. With that, he pressed the switch. The door slowly creaked open, and without hesitation, he stepped inside. The crowd stared, momentarily stunned by his words, before snapping back to reality. Did he just call us weak? Someone muttered angrily. Forget him. Look inside, what's in there? As Qin Shen entered and the door began to close, the others scrambled to peek inside. Is that a mechanical puppet? Someone exclaimed, their face paling. Mechanical puppets came in many forms, humanoid, beast-like, and served as training tools crafted by humans. Even the weakest ones were at the early body refining stage. What made them especially dangerous was their fusion of technology and martial arts, with internal chips storing vast amounts of combat knowledge. A mechanical puppet at the early body refining stage was far stronger than a human at the same level. No one could match the precision of its programmed expertise. Bang! A loud crash echoed as Qin Shen sent the mechanical puppet flying with a single punch. At this moment, the door shut completely. He actually defeated a mechanical puppet, someone exclaimed. Impossible. He must have pulled some strings. Could it be he really has that kind of strength? For a moment, everyone's perception of Qin Shen began to waver, as if he wasn't just as simple as he appeared. Ha! Suddenly, laughter erupted. It was the handsome young man from earlier. Strength? I'm from second high, and I know Wang Chang, the strongest in first high, like the back of my hand. First place from freshman to senior year, this I'm sure of. Second high and first high were close in proximity, and this young man had always kept tabs on Wang Chang. My guess is that the mechanical puppet didn't even have a chip installed. It's probably just a prototype. He sounded utterly confident. Let me ask you all this, everyone knows first high's Wang Chang, right? But have you ever heard of Qin Shen? He sneered. No one answered. Indeed, nobody had heard of Qin Shen, while Wang Chang was a well-known name. If you don't believe me, I'll prove it to you. Remember this name, Yang Shuai of second high. With that, he turned and strode toward the door assigned to him, pressing the switch without hesitation. The crowd hurriedly followed, watching him as he entered his room. The door's about to close, look carefully. Yang Shuai called out. He charged toward a mechanical puppet. The puppet's body immediately lit up with a red glow, clearly activated. Yang Shuai threw a punch, and the puppet reacted swiftly, meeting his strike head-on. Boom! The collision sent a figure flying. The people standing by the door scrambled to get out of the way as the figure was thrown clean out of the room. Holy crap! It's not a prototype. Yang Shuai's eyes rolled back, and he fainted on the spot. Beep! 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 Suddenly, an alarm blared, and several staff members rushed over, quickly carrying Yang Shuai away. Less than 5 minutes, and that's already the second one eliminated. They're planning to cut half of us this time, someone whispered. The crowd, overhearing this, turned pale and instinctively glanced toward room 37, their expressions filled with shock. Bang! Inside room 37, Qin Shen shattered a mechanical puppet with a single punch, rendering it completely useless. The elimination has begun. Qin Shen murmured as he approached the broken puppet, a faint smile on his face. He had heard the alarm just now and figured someone must have been eliminated. These mechanical puppets weren't easy to deal with. Among those present, very few were mid-stage body refinement. Clearing this round wouldn't be easy. After destroying one puppet, Qin Shen looked ahead, where 9 more remained. There's no way they're all early-stage body refinement puppets, otherwise, this would be way too easy, he thought to himself. The puppets would activate the moment an enemy came within 2 meters of them. He guessed that as long as they were activated, whether or not they were damaged, lasting 30 minutes would earn points. If they were only early-stage body refinement puppets, activating just one and holding out for 30 minutes would be far too simple. Taking them down one by one, many students would likely destroy a few in the process, making every point hard-earned. Glancing up, Qin Shen noticed several cameras in the room and smiled slightly. The points would be awarded by the instructors based on performance. To earn a high score, not only did he need to defeat more mechanical puppets, but he also needed to do it in a remarkable way. With this in mind, he didn't hesitate to step within 2 meters of another puppet. The mechanical puppet's red glow flashed as it activated, lunging straight at him. But instead of fighting it head-on, Qin Shen darted toward another puppet. One after another, he activated the puppets, and before long, all 9 mechanical puppets were triggered, causing chaos in the room. Meanwhile, alarms blared in other rooms as well. Staff members rushed over, their attention drawn to Qin Shen's room in particular, their faces filled with astonishment. That much commotion, did all the mechanical puppets get activated? One of them shook his head. If all the puppets had been triggered, the student inside would have been overwhelmed long ago, it wouldn't be this noisy. Could the puppets have malfunctioned and started fighting each other? His expression shifted. Without clearance to force the door open, he peered inside through the peephole. Holy! He couldn't help but exclaim at the sight within the room. For mechanical puppets lay in pieces on the ground, while a young man weaved effortlessly through the remaining one's attacks. With each punch, it was as if a sledgehammer had struck, and one by one, the mechanical puppets were smashed to bits. What kind of monster is this? He muttered in shock. Even more terrifying, the young man showed no mercy. Mechanical puppets were extremely expensive, their defense stronger than their offensive capabilities. During assessments, the puppets were programmed to stop attacking once they sustained a certain level of damage to prevent unnecessary losses. But with every punch from this young man, the puppets were reduced to scrap metal, beyond repair. At the same time, a man in military uniform strode toward the control room, holding a folder. "Instructor Yang, here's the personnel file for this training camp," he said, placing it on the desk. Yang Shui didn't look at it immediately. Instead, she studied the man. Luo Bin nodded. "I've gone through it briefly. This cohort is stronger than the last, but there's no one particularly outstanding. Aren't there two at the peak of body refinement?" Yang Shui smiled. Being at the peak of body refinement before the college entrance exams indicated the potential to become a one-star warrior during the exams, a significant achievement. In the past, I'd be optimistic about them. But now, Luo Bin trailed off, shaking his head. "You're referring to the first star general selection?" Yang Shui inquired. Luo Bin nodded. "I heard that some provinces in the Western War Zone already have one-star warriors, but Zheng Province doesn't even have one in Rong City. That's why Zheng Province won't be competitive this time. It's a real pity." In Dragon Nation, the country was divided into several major war zones, each comprising multiple provinces. Zheng Province belonged to the Western War Zone. For this event, each war zone would select one high school senior under 18 who hadn't yet taken the college entrance exam to become their star general. As the first selection of its kind, the war zones and training camp instructors placed great importance on it. If the star general came from their region, it would be both an honor and a promising future. The war zone would also focus on cultivating that individual. Yang Shui said nothing further, instead flipping through the file. She first looked at the two peak body refinement individuals. "Yu Yang and Su Fei," she murmured. "Bring up the video feeds for their rooms." "Got it." Luo Bin nodded, enlarging the screens to display rooms 1 and 2. Room 1 is Yu Yang, a student from 7th High, at the peak of body refinement for a month now. Room 2 is Su Fei, from 9th High, who reached peak body refinement half a month ago, a sensational achievement. On the large screens, the two were shown having defeated 3 mechanical puppets each and currently engaged in combat with a 4th. The situation was in their favor. They've activated 3 puppets simultaneously, and one of them is mid-stage body refinement. Not bad. Not bad, Yang Shui agreed with a nod, her expression calm. Though they were impressive, they weren't exactly astonishing. These two should be prioritized for nurturing. Also, inform the other training camps in Zheng Province to select 1 or 2 standout candidates. Before the star general selection, we'll have them compete, and the strongest will be recommended to participate. We can't afford to lose face for Zheng Province if they fail to earn the star general title. Yang Shui said after some thought. As the chief instructor for this talent selection in Zheng Province, poor performance from the candidates would reflect poorly on her. Understood. Luo Bin nodded before asking, "Should we check on the other rooms?" This is the content of paragraph 1241. I have processed it according to my logic while maintaining the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. Below is the result. Yang Shui waved her hand dismissively, saying that the ranking was mainly based on their usual performance and real cultivation level. Since no one else had even reached the peak of body refinement, she wasn't interested. Report. At this moment, a staff member came running over. "Aren't you the one responsible for escorting unconscious, eliminated students out? What are you doing here, and why are you so flustered?" Luo Bin questioned sharply. Ignoring the reprimand, the staff member anxiously reported, "Officers, something's happened." Luo Bin and Yang Shui's expressions changed. Something happened to the students? Both immediately thought of past talent camps where some participants had gotten in through connections despite low cultivation levels. During the mechanized puppet tests, some had been crippled, and there had even been fatalities. "No, it's not the students, it's the mechanized puppets that malfunctioned," the staff member explained. Yang Shui's face darkened further. "These mechanized puppets are brand new. Malfunctioning already? How were they tested before purchase?" The staff member, growing more anxious, didn't elaborate and pointed at the monitor. "Officers, see for yourselves, room 37. Luo Bin shook his head and pulled up the surveillance for room 37. At first glance, his face changed. "Why are all the mechanized puppets down?" Yang Shui abruptly stood up, staring intently at Qin Shen in the center of the room on the monitor. She took a deep breath. "Replay it," she said calmly. Noticing something unusual, Luo Bin rewound the footage. The down mechanized puppets weren't broken, they had been destroyed by someone. He quickly rewound further to see what had happened. Soon, the footage revealed Qin Shen's intense actions, activating 9 mechanized puppets at once. Such power. His punches carry fire attributes, this is fire elemental energy. For him to unleash attacks like this, he must have broken through to the martial artist level, right? Luo Bin exclaimed, astonished. And his agility, Yang Shui pointed out. Luo Bin then noticed that Qin Shen, under the encirclement of 9 mechanized puppets, hadn't been hit even once. He dodged every attack with precision. A fire elemental shouldn't have this kind of agility. Luo Bin frowned and asked Yang Shui, Could he have learned a movement martial art? Martial arts techniques could only be learned after becoming a martial artist, and Qin Chen's strength clearly indicated a breakthrough. Look closely, Yang Shui said, her expression serious as she focused on the mechanized puppets that had fallen in front of Qin Chen. Luo Bin observed carefully and was stunned. There's no elemental imprint, he's still at the peak of body refinement. This is wind elemental energy. Yang Shui confirmed. A dual element peak. No wonder he has the strength of a one-star martial artist. Luo Bin understood. With both wind and fire elements, his strength and agility surpassed the body refinement peak, reaching the threshold of a one-star martial artist. The surveillance footage, less than 10 minutes long, concluded. If only we had sent in a one-star martial artist level mechanized puppet, Luo Bin lamented. The room had contained 3 early stage, 3 mid-stage, 2 late stage, and 2 peak stage mechanized puppets. Such a test was almost impossible for those in the body refinement stage, but relatively easy for martial artists. Colonel Yang Shui, this year's rising star looks promising, Luo Bin said with a smile. Yang Shui glanced at him. Don't get ahead of yourself. A dual element peak is impressive, but there's still a gap between him and true martial artists. Dual element cultivation takes time. While he may have the strength of a one-star martial artist now, progressing further will be slower. Other provinces likely have students who've already broken through as martial artists, and some may even have reached 2-star. You're right, but don't forget he has 1 fire element, and we happen to have a fire elemental training room. He's so young yet already at the peak of body refinement. His talent is remarkable. If we place him in the fire elemental training room, he'll soon break through as a fire element martial artist, naturally improving his strength. He has potential, Luo Bin said, already planning Qin Chen's training path. Everything should follow protocol. Yu Yang and Su Fei also deserve focused training, Yang Shui said, flipping through some files. You're planning to use Su Fei and Yu Yang to pressure Qin Chen? Luo Bin immediately caught on. The more outstanding they are, the more pressure he'll feel, potentially unlocking greater potential. Yang Shui nodded. Unpolished jade won't shine. While his chances of claiming the top star title are slim, at least Jiang province won't end up at the bottom, and we might even achieve a respectable ranking. My only concern is, instead of applying pressure, we might end up breaking those two, Luo Bin joked. Yang Shui ignored him and turned to the materials sent by the first high school. Wang Chang? His cultivation is late-stage body refinement. Is this the kind of information first high school is sending me? Do they think I'm easy to fool? She asked, displeased. At this moment, a soldier interjected, Officer Yang, his name isn't Wang Chang. First high school made a last-minute substitution. His name is Qin Chen. They just called to inform us that he's at the peak of body refinement but didn't mention he's dual element peak. Room 37, Qin Chen had already exited. Ma Jun, having reviewed his performance, looked at him with amazement. Qin Chen, your number is being updated to 1. Here's the key. Go to restroom 1. Tomorrow, you'll receive your points, Ma Jun said as he handed over the key. Qin Chen accepted it and headed to the rest area. In testing room 1. Yu Yang, after defeating 2 late-stage body refinement mechanized puppets, looked pale. I underestimated this. These mechanized puppets have chips, far more experienced than me, and they're draining. It's impossible for someone at the peak of body refinement to defeat them. But this result should be enough. If I can't do it, no one else can. My points will be the highest, he said, giving up on the challenge and exiting the room. In room 2. Su Fei faced a similar situation and also gave up, exiting together with Yu Yang. The two exchanged glances, both feeling pride. I still had 2 peak stage mechanized puppets left. What about you? Yu Yang asked. Same here, Su Fei replied. The restroom is assigned based on performance, starting from room 1. Let's see who's number 1, Yu Yang said confidently, smiling. Su Fei remained expressionless and didn't respond. As they walked out, they encountered Ma Jun. Standing upright, their faces were filled with anticipation. Ma Jun smiled. Defeating 7 mechanized puppets is commendable. Failing to defeat the peak stage ones is normal. You've both done very well. Thank you, instructor, they said in unison. But since your results are identical, assigning restrooms will be tricky, Ma Jun said. My number is 1. Restroom 1 should go to me, Yu Yang declared. Ma Jun was about to respond when Su Fei quickly interjected, I also want restroom 1. The environment in other rooms isn't as good. Restroom 1 had the best space, facilities, and soundproofing, everyone wanted it. Su Fei was confident he was no worse than Yu Yang. Beat me next time, and I'll let you have it, Yu Yang offered. No way. I want it now, Su Fei insisted. As their argument escalated, Ma Jun raised his hand to interrupt. Are you two done? They fell silent. Good. Now listen. Restroom 1 is already taken. Here's the decision, Yu Yang gets restroom 2, and Su Fei gets restroom 3. Their faces froze. Stunned, they hesitated before asking, restroom 1 is already taken? Instructor, we'd like to know who got it. They pressed further, caring little about second or third place. Everyone remembers the champion, no one cares about the runner-up. Chen from first high school, Ma Jun said flatly. The two were dumbfounded, unable to believe it. Yu Yang opened his mouth to speak. Ma Jun sternly cut him off. Take your keys and head to your restrooms immediately. With no choice, they walked away, their eyes filled with unwillingness. After walking away, Yu Yang said, Chen, he got in through connections? Yeah, but what kind of connections would get him the number one restroom in the training camp? Su Fei was puzzled. The number one restroom symbolized strength and status. The genius training camp valued talent above all. For someone to get the best room purely through connections, it had to mean extraordinary backing. Connections aside, it's all about what he can do from here. During the public trials, let's see if he can actually take first place, Yu Yang said, unwilling to accept it. They hadn't seen Chen perform in the trials yet, but there would be plenty of chances ahead. If he slipped up, there'd be no way he'd take first place. Watching the two of them walk off, Ma Jun smiled. It was all going just as he'd hoped. The next day. Did you hear? 38 people got eliminated last night. Only 34 of us left now, and they're saying someone will get eliminated every single day going forward. It's brutal. The dining hall buzzed with chatter that morning. Nothing surprising. I'm one of the lucky half who survived an injury. My whole body's still aching. Those mechanical puppets are insane. I only activated a beginner-level puppet and barely made it through. Guess I'm smart. Smart? Please. Almost everyone matched the puppets to their strength level. Who could take down 10 of them so easily? You're wrong. In our trial area, someone completely destroyed every single puppet in one of the rooms, a voice suddenly shouted. Everyone turned to look at the speaker, recognizing him as someone from the 31 to 40 room area. Their eyes were skeptical. It was common knowledge that even Yu Yang and Su Fei hadn't fully defeated their puppets. How could someone ranked in the 30s pull it off? Don't believe me, then, the guy said, wanting to argue further but ultimately giving up. In their area, only he and Chen had passed. There was no one else to vouch for his story. I believe you. A boy suddenly stepped forward, speaking with conviction. Who are you? My name's Zhou Lei. Hi, I'm Huang Jian. Why do you believe me? Huang Jian asked, surprised. After all, even he struggled to believe someone could destroy all the mechanical puppets without seeing it happen himself. Are you talking about number 37, Chen from First High? Zhou Lei asked in a low voice. Huang Jian nodded. That's him. I saw him during the mountain climb. He made it look like he was walking on flat ground, Zhou Lei said, recalling that moment with a sense of awe. He's here. Zhou Lei's eyes flickered toward the entrance of the dining hall as Chen walked in. After Chen got his meal and sat down, Zhou Lei turned to Huang Jian, asking, wanna go over? Huang Jian's expression changed. No way. There was a hint of fear in his eyes as he glanced at Chen. During the trials, Huang Jian had caught a glimpse of Chen casually sending a puppet flying. Even though it was just a beginner-level puppet, it was still impressive. Later, when he went to check Chen's room, he saw that every puppet had been destroyed. That kind of overwhelming strength left him uneasy. Chen, hello. Zhou Lei walked up to him, greeting him politely. Who are you? Chen asked, looking at him curiously. Since joining the camp, Chen hadn't bothered to interact with anyone. Being approached out of the blue was unexpected. You might not remember, but I asked what school you were from during the mountain climb, Zhou Lei said with a smile. Chen nodded slightly and picked up a piece of meat. What do you want? Zhou Lei hesitated, unsure how to phrase what he wanted to say. After a moment of silence, he took a deep breath and looked Chen in the eye. I want to be your follower. As soon as he said it, Zhou Lei lowered his head, not daring to meet Chen's gaze. Chen raised an eyebrow, then smiled. You want to be my follower? You do realize most people here think I got in through connections. Aren't you afraid of what they'll say about you? Most of the trainees didn't think highly of Chen. For someone to openly want to follow him, it was bound to attract ridicule. Zhou Lei had assumed Chen wouldn't even acknowledge him. The fact that Chen was responding surprised him. He quickly lifted his head. I don't care what others think. I know you rely on your own strength. And you don't seem to care what anyone else says either. Like when everyone thinks you're just a connection hire, but you don't bother explaining yourself or trying to convince them otherwise, Zhou Lei added, admiring Chen's composure. Most people would have gone out of their way to explain themselves in his position. Not bad, Chen said, putting down his chopsticks with a faint smile. Alright, I'll take a follower. But what's in it for me? Zhou Lei was momentarily stunned. Wasn't being a follower benefit enough? Chen's indifference left him scrambling for an answer. I'll gather information for you, anything you want to know. After some thought, that was the only way he felt he could be useful. Alright. Your first task, find out what types of elemental training rooms this camp has, whether there are any special training facilities, and who's in charge of the camp, Chen instructed. He was particularly interested in the elemental training rooms, as they were essential for breakthroughs. Special facilities could help improve his overall strength, and he was simply curious about the person running the camp. "Oh, I already know that," Jolie said suddenly. Qin Shan looked at him in surprise. "I asked about it yesterday. I have a distant relative who works here handling miscellaneous tasks. I got the info from him last night." Leaning in, Jolie lowered his voice. "The camp has 5 elemental training rooms, each corresponding to one of the 5 basic elements." "That's standard," Qin Shan nodded. The 5 basic elements were common in most training facilities. Beyond that, there were special elements, but those training rooms were rare and usually only found in places like Yang City, where technology and research were more advanced. It made sense that this camp wouldn't have any. There's also the usual gravity room and infrared room, but they've added a new combat simulation room this time. "Not sure what it's for exactly," Jolie continued earnestly. "The gravity room was used to train under increased pressure, enhancing physical durability, while the infrared room was for agility and reflex training. The combat simulation room was new, and though its purpose seemed obvious, its specifics were unclear. As for the person in charge, her name is Yang Shui. She's incredible," Jolie said excitedly. She was the top-ranked trainee from a previous training camp. After graduating college, she joined the Western War Zone. She's only in her early 30s and already a colonel. Qin Shan nodded thoughtfully. The information saved him some effort. Just then, the camp's broadcast system crackled to life. "All trainees, report to the training ground within 10 minutes. Latecomers will be eliminated." Everyone quickly set down their food and rushed out. Qin Shan stood up, and Jolie followed closely behind. A few minutes later, the trainees were gathered and arranged in orderly rows. In the distance, a man and a woman in military uniforms approached. "I am Luo Bin," the man introduced himself loudly. "And this is Colonel Yang, your head instructor and commanding officer." Yang Shui scanned the group and spoke firmly. "Congratulations on making it this far. Let me explain the rules. During training, you will earn points. These points can be used for various purposes, such as accessing training rooms. Explore these uses on your own. There are 2 ways to earn points: 1, through performance evaluations by us, and 2, by challenging other trainees with points. If you win, you gain their points. If you lose, your points reset to 0, and you're eliminated." Everyone's expressions changed. The first evaluation lacked standards, and the second rule of losing and being eliminated seemed too harsh. Someone asked, "Are there specific rules for these challenges?" Yang Shui smiled and said, "Yes. Higher-ranked contestants can only challenge lower-ranked ones after consecutively defeating 2 opponents of the same level. Lower-ranked contestants can challenge higher-ranked ones freely, and same-level challengers must also win 2 consecutive matches." Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Lower-level participants wouldn't be randomly challenged by higher-level ones, ensuring fairness. "Now, we will distribute the student cards," Yang Shui announced. Ma Jun added, "Points have already been calculated based on yesterday's performance in the mechanism rooms and have been deposited into your student cards. You can check your points once you receive your card. Your assigned lounge number is also on the card, and it may change depending on rankings monitored by the instructors." Some participants were filled with anticipation, especially Yu Yang and Su Fei, both hoping to secure the number 1 lounge. "Who's getting lounge number 1, someone asked. "I bet on Yu Yang." "Not necessarily. It could still be Qin Shan. This public distribution of cards isn't that simple." Upon hearing this, everyone's expressions subtly shifted, and speculations began. This public distribution of student cards meant that everyone would know each other's card numbers, with these numbers reflecting point rankings. The number 1 card indicated the highest points, with subsequent cards showing progressively fewer points. Points symbolized strength. Typically, those with higher points were stronger, though the differences weren't always significant. Yang Shui had just announced the rules of the training camp, allowing participants to challenge each other. Knowing others' points and general levels of ability was clearly an incentive to encourage challenges. If Qin Shan gets the number 1 card, it means he has the most points. But if he got in through connections and lacks real strength, won't he just get endlessly challenged, someone speculated. Everyone wanted to see if Qin Shan dared to take the top spot based on connections alone. "Number 34, Xiao Ming," Ma Jun began calling out the names. Xiao Ming stepped forward, visibly relieved. He was ranked last and had the weakest performance. While having fewer points meant he was less likely to be challenged, it was still a blow to his pride. "Number 33. Number 32. As Ma Jun continued calling out the numbers, people's expressions began to change. They glanced in Qin Shan's direction with growing curiosity and doubt. Does he really have the nerve to take the top spot? When the top 5 were being announced, Qin Shan still hadn't been called. "Number 4, Du Hui. Number 3, Su Fei." Su Fei snorted coldly, taking his card and returning to his seat with an unwilling expression. Losing to Yu Yang was tolerable, but being outranked by Qin Shan was infuriating. "Brother Fei," a student next to him whispered, "do you want me to challenge him?" Su Fei glanced at the speaker, Mo Ching, a newcomer from the previous day who had been trying to curry favor with him. Normally, Su Fei wouldn't pay Mo Ching any attention, but he was now tempted. All right. If you beat him, the points are yours. Everything else is yours too. And if anyone challenges you later, you can use my name. Su Fei nodded. He had intended to challenge Qin Shen himself, but having someone else do it for him was even better. Moreover, having someone from his side defeat Qin Shen would make him appear more powerful and strategic in the eyes of others. Thank you, Brother Fei. Mo Ching beamed. Ranked 17th, Mo Ching's points were average, putting him at considerable risk of being challenged repeatedly. With Su Fei as his backer, potential challengers would think twice about the consequences. Number 2, Yu Yang. Number 1, Qin Shen. Ma Jun continued calling out names. After Yu Yang took his card and returned to his seat, Qin Shen finally stepped forward. This training camp will be different. Work hard and grow stronger, Ma Jun said seriously, giving Qin Shen a pat on the shoulder. Qin Shen nodded, not overthinking it. From now on, your training depends on you. If you have questions about cultivation, you can ask me or consult Instructor Luo or Instructor Yang, but asking questions will deduct points. Hearing this, everyone's expressions changed. The importance of points became glaringly obvious, so much so that even asking questions came at a cost. Alright, dismissed. Ma Jun waved his hand. Instructor, a sudden voice rang out, drawing everyone's attention. It was Mo Ching. He raised his head and said, Instructor, the challenge rules still aren't entirely clear. Can we refuse challenges? And how do we initiate one? Yang Shui smiled and replied, my fault for not explaining earlier. Aside from what I mentioned before, the first time you're challenged, you can't refuse within the same day. Everyone understood accepting the first challenge was mandatory. After that, it was optional. Losing the first challenge would mean losing points, and with no points left, no one would bother challenging you again. If your points drop to 0, you'll be eliminated at 8 AM the next day. So if you lose a challenge, you better earn some points quickly, even 1 point can keep you in. The challenge process is simple. See that arena in the distance? Yang Shui pointed. Everyone turned to look at the arena. Strike the copper gong and call out the name of your challenge target. Someone will fetch them for you. Any other questions? The crowd remained silent. Yang Shui waited 3 seconds before leaving with Luo Bin. Ma Jun motioned for everyone to disperse. Dismissed. Qin Shen turned and headed toward his lounge, intending to check his points before heading to the fire element training room to condense his elemental imprint. But he had barely taken a few steps when the sound of the copper gong reverberated through the air. Everyone who had been preparing to leave stopped in their tracks, even Ma Jun, who had already walked some distance away, turned back out of curiosity. I challenge Qin Shen from Group 1. Mo Ching struck the gong and called out loudly, a proud smile on his face as he noticed everyone's eyes on him. Being the first to issue a challenge naturally made him the center of attention. Most importantly, he had chosen to challenge Qin Shen. Everyone believed Qin Shen was a privileged insider, and Mo Ching's boldness in standing up to connections earned him silent approval. Come on, let's go watch, someone suggested. In truth, many others had also considered challenging Qin Shen but hadn't made up their minds. Now that someone else had taken the lead, they were eager to watch and see how the privileged insider would fare. Is he stupid? Ma Jun muttered, frowning as he looked at Mo Ching. He knew that many thought Qin Shen had gotten in through connections, but Qin Shen had consistently ranked first. Wasn't that proof of his strength? Besides, with Yang Shui in charge, everyone knew that favoritism was impossible. Talent without brains, Ma Jun shook his head, losing interest in the fight. He saw no suspense in the outcome. Qin Shen looked over at the arena where Mo Ching stood. His eyes narrowed, and without waiting for anyone to call him, he walked straight over. Are you sure you want to challenge me? Qin Shen asked, his tone serious as he stared at Mo Ching. Of course. You don't have the right to refuse, Mo Ching replied smugly. Qin Shen nodded and stepped onto the arena without hesitation. Since everyone thought he was a privileged insider, he decided to take this opportunity to make a statement with his fists. Better to settle things in one decisive blow than endure a string of challenges. At that moment, a man in a military uniform stepped onto the stage. From now on, I will referee all your challenges. Once you're on the stage, as long as no one dies, there are no other rules. 3 seconds to prepare. Begin. His voice was loud and clear, and the crowd below instantly tensed. The harshness of the challenge rules sank in. This wasn't a game. Qin Shen, I have no personal grudge against you. But the resources of this training camp should go to true talents. It's best if you just head back now, Mo Ching said. Then, with a sudden push off the ground, he launched himself toward Qin Shen. So fast, someone exclaimed, their expression changing. Why hasn't Qin Shen moved yet? Mo Ching was less than 5 meters away from Qin Shen, who continued to stand motionless. Must be too stunned to react, someone shook their head. Too stunned? My boss could knock him out just by standing there, Zhou shouted, unable to hold back after hearing others dismiss Qin Shen. Boss? You really think of him as your boss?
Or are you just banking on the connections he has behind him? The crowd looked at Zhou Lei with disdain. A genius resorting to connections?
If those connections lacked strength, it might still be acceptable, but relying on such a figure would only earn contempt instead of respect. After all, they could build their own networks if needed.
Zhou Lei's face darkened, and he moved closer to Huang Jian.
It seemed only Huang Jian shared his views now.
Ignore them.
They'll see how strong Qin Shen is soon enough, Huang Jian said, his gaze fixed on Qin Shen with anticipation. As everyone waited for Qin Shen to make a move, Mo Qing was now just 2 meters away. He raised his fist. This punch will send you straight to the hospital. Don't worry, you'll be out in time for the college entrance exam. As soon as the words left his mouth, his fist came crashing down. Qin Shen's expression remained calm. Just as the fist was about to land, he reached out and grabbed it. Bang! A fist met a palm. Mo Qing froze in place, his eyes widening. Before he could even speak, his face contorted in pain. Let go. Crack! A crisp sound of bones snapping echoed. In one swift motion, Qin Shen flung Mo Qing aside, sending his body flying across the stage before slamming heavily onto the ground. Ah! A blood-curdling scream pierced through the air before silence fell over the scene. When the crowd snapped out of it, they saw Mo Qing unconscious on the ground while Qin Shen stood there, unbothered. Qin Shen wins, the referee's voice broke the stillness. Without acknowledging anyone, Qin Shen stepped down from the stage. Your opponent's points will be credited to your student card within the hour, the referee called after him, watching his retreating figure with a mix of shock and respect. He had been certain this year's participants, under Yang Shui's strict oversight, included no unqualified candidates. Now it was clear Qin Shen wasn't just strong, he was overwhelmingly so. Thank you, Qin Shen replied casually as he walked off the stage. Instinctively, the crowd parted to make way for him. With an air of composed indifference, he moved past them. Without turning back, he said, anyone who wants to challenge me next, come tomorrow. I won't accept more than one challenge a day. His words left the crowd in stunned silence, their expressions conflicted. Challenge him? What a joke. After what they'd just witnessed, none of them felt capable of stepping up. Even Yu Yang and Su Fei, who were considered among the stronger participants, stayed quiet, their gazes fixed on Qin Shen's departing figure. Once Qin Shen was out of sight, murmurs broke out among the crowd. Who said he's only here because of connections? Come out and say it again. That move just now was insane. I felt the pain just watching it. He was part of the first group to enter the training camp, the first to clear the obstacle puppets, and the first to claim a rest chamber, all because of his strength. From that moment on, no one dared to bring up the word connections again. Suddenly, a burst of laughter rang out. The crowd turned to see a smug Zhou Lei. I told you my boss could knock his opponent out just by standing there. Still don't believe me? Zhou Lei scanned the crowd with a cocky expression. No one rebutted him. Some even showed a hint of envy in their eyes. Zhou bro, can you introduce us to your boss? Yeah, I'd really like to meet Qin. A few people began cozying up to Zhou Lei. Although everyone here was considered a genius, some had already realized the gap between themselves and Qin Shen was insurmountably vast. Same age, but whether it was early stage or mid-stage body refinement, they were worlds apart from someone at the peak of the realm. It was a difference that couldn't be measured by just a few levels. It signified talent and potential. Of course. Zhou Lei grinned, basking in the attention. Ha! Looks like I've finally earned some respect in this training camp. Even that old man back home can't call me useless anymore, he thought smugly. 10,000 points. Back in the resting chamber, Qin Shen checked his points and was pleased. Clearing the obstacle puppets yesterday had earned him a maximum of 10,000 points. As for the points from defeating Mo Qing, he hadn't expected much. After confirming his points, he quickly left the rest chamber and headed toward the cultivation building. The building housed various rooms for elemental and specialized training. 10 minutes later, he arrived on the first floor, where there was an office for registration. Fire element training costs 2,000 points per session. Other specialized rooms cost 1,000 points each, the staff member informed him. Qin Shen was a little surprised. 2,000 points might not be much to him, but it wasn't an amount just anyone could afford. He estimated that out of the 30-something participants, less than half would be able to use their points for training. I'll take a session in the fire element training room, Qin Shen said, handing over his student card. The staff member took the card, noticed the number 1 identifier, and glanced at Qin Shen before swiping it. 2,000 points were deducted, and the card was returned to him. The fire element training rooms are on the first floor, left turn after you exit. There are 5 rooms, take your pick. Your card grants you access, but only for 1 entry. Once inside, if you exit, you'll have to pay 2,000 points to re-enter, the staff member reminded him. Got it. Thank you, Qin Shen nodded and left. Watching Qin Shen leave, the staff member turned to a colleague. Number 1 just went in. How long do you think he'll last? In the past, the longest was 3 hours. Since he cleared the obstacle puppets, I'd say about the same, 3 hours, someone speculated.
It wasn't unheard of for those at the peak of body refinement to clear all the obstacle puppets. "I'm betting on 5 hours," another staff member suddenly said. The others were shocked. "Old Lee, 5 hours? That's way too much." Old Lee chuckled. "Fire element training tests sensitivity and endurance. That guy has a very determined look. I'm betting on him." The others shook their heads, unconvinced. At that moment, Qinshen stood at the entrance of the fire element training room. He swiped his card. With a click, the door unlocked. A wave of heat rushed out to greet him. "The fire element is really strong here. A 15-fold increase in training speed, well deserved," Qinshen remarked. Once inside, the surrounding fire elements enveloped his body. The initial heat quickly subsided, replaced by a cooling sensation. Wasting no time, he sat cross-legged and began channeling his energy. The fire elements within his body harmonized with those in the room, blending and transforming. Placing his hands on his knees, he began attempting to condense a seal. Boom! 2 flames ignited in his palms, flickering and shrinking. The flames gradually condensed into fire elemental energy, which he channeled into his body. Within him, a seal rapidly took form more than 10 times faster than his usual rate of cultivation. Time passed. After an hour, the seal within Qinshen's body was 8% complete. This is the content of section 1641. The following is the processed result based on your instructions, retaining the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. After deducting the previously accumulated 4%, it equated to 4% progress in just 1 hour. As time passed, sweat began to bead on his forehead, and the temperature inside the cultivation room noticeably increased. "Looks like staying here for too long isn't easy. The temperature keeps rising, and eventually, it'll be unbearable." Only now did Qinshen understand what the staff meant when they advised staying longer wasn't simple. This cultivation room wasn't a place you could just stay in indefinitely. 2 hours later, his forehead was drenched. By the 3rd hour, sweat began to drip down. Yet, he didn't complain. Instead, he was thrilled because the elemental imprint had reached 24%. The higher the temperature, the faster the condensation. The so-called 15 times speed is just the initial rate. He felt secretly fortunate. Outside the room, more than 10 people had gathered at the door, including staff and fellow students, all watching to see how long he could last. 3 hours already, he's tied the record. "Impressive," some staff members commented. "Don't rush, he's not out yet." 5 hours shouldn't be a problem," said Old Lee confidently. At the 4-hour mark, the crowd was astonished. By the 5th hour, they started to feel tense. "I told you 5 hours wouldn't be an issue. He's steady as can be." "Everyone, don't block the doorway, be ready to lower the temperature as soon as he comes out," Old Lee instructed, pushing the crowd back. "He should be coming out soon," he muttered, staring at the door anxiously. Time ticked by, but the door remained tightly shut. "Could he actually last 6 hours? Someone asked with a grim expression. This would be double the existing record. "Calm down, he might come out any moment now." Even Old Lee was starting to look uneasy. "You're all fretting for nothing. My boss can easily last 10 hours. Zhou Lei suddenly declared with confidence. Everyone turned to him, thinking he sounded overly arrogant. "Do you even know what the temperature will be after 10 hours? Old Lee asked. "It'll reach 60 degrees Celsius. And that's under extreme heat with no relief from wind or cooling. He's already faced temperatures rising from 30 to 40 to 50 degrees. Do you think even someone at the peak of body refinement can endure that?" Although he admired Qinshen's abilities, the prospect of 10 hours made even Old Lee uneasy. Hearing this, the students displayed looks of astonishment. "So what?" Zhou Lei shot back stubbornly. "Seriously?" The crowd looked at him as if he were insane. Inside the cultivation room, Qinshen was drenched in sweat, his skin flushed red, and the veins on his forehead were bulging. An hour ago, he had already reached his physical limit. This made him realize that the peak of body refinement had been reached earlier. Yet he had managed to push through for an entire additional hour. 50%. He frowned as he observed the condensed imprint. At this point, he could have easily stepped out to rest and returned later with 2,000 points to finish the imprint and breakthrough to become a 1-star warrior. But he didn't want to waste any more time. With that thought, he softly muttered, "Wind." Suddenly, a breeze seemed to sweep through his body, instantly refreshing him. The redness of his skin subsided, and his sweat lessened. The perks of being a multi-element warrior, he grinned and resumed his condensation process. Outside, people were still speculating about when he might emerge. 8 hours passed, yet the door remained shut. Could he have passed out? A student whispered. "Impossible. If anyone passes out, the room's alarm system will go off," a staff member replied, shaking their head. "What if the alarm's broken?" This suggestion caused the staff members' faces to darken. "I told you, my boss can last 10 hours. "Just wait," Zhou Lei said smugly. "Let's just wait a bit longer." Old Lee fixed his gaze on the door. The likelihood of a malfunction was slim. This was a newly upgraded elemental cultivation room, rarely used. 2 more hours passed, and Old Lee's expression changed. 10 hours had elapsed. How do you know he can last 10 hours? Old Lee asked Zhou Lei. Zhou Lei was momentarily flustered but replied with unwavering faith, I just know. But why hasn't he come out yet? Old Lee pressed further. Although he wanted to believe Zhou Lei, the door remained firmly shut. Well, 10 hours is just an estimate. My boss likes to push himself. Another hour won't be a problem, Zhou Lei stammered, trying to sound convincing. Old Lee nodded, though visibly shocked. If Qin Shen could endure 11 hours, it would be beyond comprehension. The others believed him too. After all, Zhou Lei wouldn't idolize someone without good reason. Qin Shen's abilities must be extraordinary. All eyes were fixed on the door. While they couldn't see inside, their admiration was undeniable. Zhou Lei, relieved no one was questioning him further, secretly prayed for Qin Shen to come out soon, otherwise, explaining things would get tricky. Inside the room, Qin Shen had truly pushed himself to the brink. The elemental imprint had reached 90%. Ice, he called out, and instantly, both his internal and external temperatures plummeted. The room around him cooled down noticeably. Ah, refreshing. After enduring extreme heat, the sudden chill felt blissful. The imprint within him began to take shape. Though the final stage was the most challenging, the speed of condensation didn't waver. Outside, 11 hours had passed, but the door remained closed, sparking fresh doubts. Could the alarm system really be broken? Old Lee's face turned pale. With nearly 12 hours gone, even most one-star warriors wouldn't last this long. Old Lee glanced at Zhou Lei again, who stuttered, maybe it is broken. Notify Commander Yang immediately. Old Lee shouted. Only Yang Shui had the authority to open the elemental cultivation room. No one else was permitted to enter for fear of disrupting the student inside. Commander Yang is here, a student called out. The crowd turned to see Yang Shui and Luo Bin hurrying over. Commander Yang, open the door quickly. Room 1 has been occupied for nearly 12 hours. I suspect the alarm system is malfunctioning. Old Lee exclaimed. Why didn't you notify me sooner? Yang Shui asked coldly. 12 hours was nearly the limit for a 2-star warrior. Old Lee trembled, unsure how to respond, and glanced at Zhou Lei for help. Zhou Lei lowered his head, too scared to meet anyone's gaze. Ignoring them, Yang Shui pulled out her access card and approached the door. Inside the room. Boom! Qin Shen's imprint reached 100%, and a surge of power erupted. I've become a 1-star warrior. He stood up, marveling at the newfound strength coursing through him. Name, Qin Shen. Fire element, 1-star warrior, progress on 2nd divine mark, 0%. Wind element, peak body refinement. Ice element, peak body refinement. Combat power, 704. Upon becoming a warrior, a divine mark appears on the imprint. At this moment, Qin Shen's fire elemental imprint bore 1 divine mark, formed when he broke through to a 1-star warrior. To advance to a 2-star warrior, he would need to form another divine mark. My combat power has surpassed the threshold for 2 stars. Qin Shen was overjoyed. The 2-star benchmark was 700, and he had just exceeded it. Though he couldn't yet defeat a 2-star warrior, he was unrivaled among 1-stars. Ding! Task 4, God Tier Mode, completed. Reward has been issued. Qin Shen glanced at his system space. 2 elemental mark fragments lay inside, one of wind and one of ice.